was doing laundry. I was thinking about killing myself.
One of those days?
It was one of those days.
You were thinking of
Nice.
doing that? Yes! I could probably do that. You got it. That's a red band sound.
Come on. Come on.
Stop doing that to me. This is a scary podcast, too. Check, scary podcast. Ooh.
I was kind of excited.
What's that?
I was kind of excited about the last sound. I wasn't less scared, more excited.
So, everyone, now, Eric, glad you're here.
Thanks, bro.
Are we pre-podding right now?
Yeah, we're just pre-potting.
So, we're on Periscope right now.
Oh, no way.
We are? For the final time.
Can you get the camera up, Emma?
Why for the final
Jeez,
time?
like you're all on. Why does Emma need the camera up right now?
Because that's part of the pre-pod.
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just them hearing the voice right
look at
now
that.
for a second. Let's not boss Emma around. Let's.
Oh, there it is.
No, that's. Let me see what's going on.
It's working.
It's working.
I'm looking at it. 3 likes, 3 retweets.
This thing is
39
already.
people.
All 3 likes and retweets are from us 3.
Just did it. Just did it.
Okay. Festival of Friendship, final Periscope with Jason Collins and Vinny Fastline. Live from ATC Studios. And there we are. Let's see how this sounds. 3 likes, 3 retweets.
6 retweets.
Already.
See? It's working.
Already. Boing.
I think that's my favorite one.
Fastline.
What is,
Yes, got it right.
is that an app? Is that an app? What is that?
Sound effects.
I like that.
I got to spit. I got to
want
spit.
that.
Hold on. What animal do you think that is?
That's
Ostrich.
that's a monkey. That's a small tree monkey. What is that?
Oh, koala?
Koala.
Koala.
Alright.
What is it?
It's a peacock.
I knew it was a bird.
I said ostrich. I was close.
Maybe we'll do
Thanks.
some sound effects theater. It's fun. Just
Sound effects theater.
No, he's got.
because everything's on delay. That's what I like about it. Okay, let me get my headphones a little bit louder to check
I'm-
2.
I have my left ear. It's either my ear or the headphone isn't.
It's probably the headphone.
They were made for Ben Morrison.
Just diva. He's just a diva already.
Was he deaf?
Do you want to
Yeah,
try a
he's
different
definitely one
headphone?
of
You want to? How does that headphone work, Eric? Because everything's on delay. Everything's on delay.
Give me yours and I'll take this.
Do you want to try? You want to switch?
Everything is on delay.
Oh, sorry. Hey, give me those, Jay. I'll wear those. Those are kind of like shoddy. This is the most active pre-pod ever.
Oh, you got high
It's a lot of things happening right now.
You got Mr. High Maintenance over here.
Mary Stevens is watching us on her phone while we're right here.
Check. Oh my goodness, so much.
Go
better.
ahead.
Thank
Can I
you.
help you? Yes, I'm here. What do you need? I'm looking for a room tonight. We're sold out. Ow!
Oh,
Sound
Don't
effects-
talk to me that way.
Sound effects make everything better.
They do?
Yeah.
Maybe. See, I lost the crowd. Wake
that was
up!
actually perfect timing after Vinny's comment.
Is this a roast?
I feel like
What is this? Did you guys come here to pick on me?
Dude, we set you up.
Oh, this is a setup. I knew it.
Eric, don't do it. You're going to break something. Son of a...
Oligny.
There's just a lot of action going on. Sound effects. We have echo chamber, sound effects. A lot of things are happening here. We'll start the
all
podcast
happening.
momentarily. I'll turn this down. Hello, can I help you? Yeah, a lot of the times it's energy based. You know, this is new having 2 guests. So like
Yeah,
a lot
whose
of the
idea
stuff.
was that?
Actually, Eric's.
Yeah, they didn't trust you.
But I'm happy with that. I'm happy that we have the 2 guests.
I was driving here, so excited. Then I get a text from one Vinny Fastline, and he says, "We're on the podcast together." My wife's sitting here; she could attest this. I almost turned around.
Yeah. But I sent an emoji with two guys holding hands.
But you've been through a lot, Jason, because originally you thought it was going to be you and Darren.
Yeah, this is an emotional roller coaster.
And then it became you and Ron,
Right.
and now it becomes you and Vinny. So
Everybody was quitting.
I mean, what's going on with that, Eric?
I mean,
Yeah, what's up, man?
I can't say that it's comics. Comics.
And why was
Darren?
Why was
Darren
Vinny fifth choice?
So yeah. So
that's actually a
Darren
good
got
question.
booked on a audience warm up gig because you don't do audience warm up anymore.
What do you
so
mean I don't do it?
You're not doing it right now. So he's got.
What do you mean I'm not doing it?
gig.
Maybe I. Well, Eric. I mean, what do you mean I'm not doing it?
You said you weren't doing audience warm up right now.
I didn't say I'm not doing it. I'm just saying I haven't been doing
Well,
it on a
do you
regular
mean-
basis.
Are you saying right now in his life or right this minute?
Right this minute.
Yeah, that's obvious. 'cause
I mean,
he's
yes,
sitting-
I'm
sitting
not
right
doing
here.
it right now, but why wasn't I up for that gig?
Because you're on a podcast right now. They were like, oh, he's got a bit. He's busy.
No,
his podcast is
no,
very
Eric,
popular.
I don't want. Here's the deal. I don't want to put out in the universe. I'm not that. I don't mind doing warm up. I'm good at it, and some shows are fun, and I cut my teeth doing a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
You heard what?
But for me to say I don't put out in the universe, I'm not doing audience warm up. You just did that for me, so that was a violation. That's what we get on this podcast.
Where's the
so
violations?
Darren had to work an audience warm up gig today, so that's why he wasn't there. And then Ron Taylor just didn't wake up when I called him this morning. He's my next door neighbor.
Shocker.
So
Is
way
he
to
a comedian?
Yeah, he's a comedian.
Put him on blast.
But I always have people on. On.
We're pre-potting right
He didn't
now.
wake
This
up
is-
for 2 o'clock.
And Ron, by the way, Ron's a really good guy. So I know that it's just a mistake.
But you asked him at the last second.
Yeah,
correct?
I did. So it's not really anybody's fault.
You mean what do you mean a mistake?
What do you mean? What
You said it was a mistake.
no, it wasn't.
What's not anybody's fault? Did he
That he didn't make it today because he was doing a favor by
Oh, he-
helping me out last minute.
But he had no idea that you wanted him to do this. Is what you're saying?
No, he did.
Oh, so it's his
Yeah,
fault. then.
last
It's
night at
100% his fault.
3
if he didn't
a.m.
wake up.
Yeah, last night at 3 a.m. though is when he said yes he'll do, or 2 a.m. he'll say yes.
Oh,
I'll
that's
do
the
it.
worst time to ask a comedian anything. You know how many times
That's
you've
why
come
I
up to me
didn't.
on the patio at the Comedy Store and said, "Joe, you want to do this thing?" I said, "You know what? Remember what I told you?
Yeah,
I said, contact me during the day.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Call me
right.
during the day.
That's the way to go during the day.
So
Now,
that's why I'm saying it's not really anybody's fault.
It's his fault.
so here's the deal. We're pre-potting right now. We are pre-potting. Stephen Brody Stevens, Festival of Friendship. Now this podcast, there's comedy in it.
Really?
There's maybe I'll get upset with Eric, which is possible. Don't get freaked out if I get bent out of shape.
It's
I
very
am.
likely.
I do nitpick at times, and
With your guest as well?
No,
or
I don't.
just
I
Eric?
want
Just
more
me.
with Eric. I won't nitpick with you guys.
So
No,
we're going to
good,
be
'cause
like
I'll
the
cry.
uncomfortable kids at the table.
You're fine.
1 month.
You guys are fine. I just want you to understand that's what this is not
it.
like probably other podcasts.
Got
It's
it.
almost a podcast of a podcast. There's some elements of that involved. So it's a podcast, but sometimes we go outside those lines.
I don't even know what those lines are.
There you go.
I just know I'm a human stress ball.
Are you?
Like that's just you needle them in, you know.
Oh, you're his.
Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah,
Wait, what do you mean? You're my stress ball?
yeah. I'm the stress
squeeze
ball.
'em.
I'm the guy next to you, just like, hey.
Not really. I have an actual stress ball.
Oh.
So we've said stress. Eric, you said stress. Somebody else's fault already. These are
Very negative
This was
terms
really
that
quick.
you are
and then
throwing out
you
into
already
the
said,
universe.
here's the deal, on a pre-pod, you already said, I need you, or I use you as a stress ball. So you're already saying, I'm stressed, I need a stress ball. That's an image I don't like to put out. Then you said somebody made a mistake, or it was somebody's fault, right?
I said it was nobody's fault.
No, but you
You
said
use the word fault.
you use fault.
Very
So
negative
you said
word.
somebody's fault. Then you said, I'm not doing warm up anymore. You're putting out in the universe that Brody doesn't do warm up. Now somebody listening to the podcast may go, I got a show. I got to do a pilot. I got an audience. I'm doing somebody special. I need a warm up guy. Oh, well, Brody, I guess he doesn't do it anymore.
He's
Do you see what
unavailable.
I'm saying? I don't put that out in the universe.
Brody's available for any warm up gigs. that
I'm
you
not.
have available?
Yeah. I'm open to potential warm up gigs. I don't like to say I'm not doing warm up. That's like to say I'm not doing stand up anymore. I don't like to put that. That's putting that out in the universe.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Right, Vinny?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
100%.
how did it go from Vinny being the
gotta
bad
keep-
guy to me that quickly?
Yes.
Can we
Vinny's
go
not
back-
the bad guy.
Vinny is
Why
not
is he
the
the bad
bad
guy? What did he do?
Well, did you come here to
I
pick
don't
on
think
me?
anybody's a bad guy here.
You put me on just so I would get picked on instead.
And
Of him.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I was
Here's what we're gonna do.
switching
We're gonna,
targets.
nobody's going to get picked on. We're gonna do a fun podcast. Vinny's the guest. Jason's the guest.
I may pick
Eric
on Vinny.
is producer, and you can dabble in to see where that goes. But again, you've already seen on a pre-pod 3 mistakes.
4.
You've already seen that. That's why I can't always trust Eric.
At least
Because-
you're keeping count.
I am.
So let's. I say we get this thing started. What do I need to announce? Anything about where to subscribe, where to watch this? This is the final Periscope.
Would you like me to just say it all? Go to YouTube, Festival of Friendship, Stephen Brody Stevens. Subscribe, share it with all your friends. Put it on social media. Let it be known that you need to go subscribe so we can get these viewers. And then next week, this will be the final. I know we said this before, but this will actually be the final Periscope. So next week, you need to be subscribed to YouTube so we can go live. All the episodes will be downloaded in sync so you can watch them and have a good time. Maybe sit down with your family, eat a dinner, watch Brody Stevens.
But it's more about the guests. That's the way I look at it. It's always about letting Festival of Friendship. Look at that. They got the wrestling guys have it. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's
Jericho.
it's an old. That
and
was
Keith
an old
Owens.
thing. Yeah, that's
You know,
fine.
they stole it from me because I was always the Festival of Friendship.
It's an homage to you.
If you want to look at it that way. Okay, let me just see what this page looks like. Festival of Friendship, Broadscope, is that it?
No, Broadscope. We need whoever is doing Broadscope from the Periscope. We'll need you to take those down from YouTube.
We'll need you to take those down.
Well, if not, we'll just
Make it happen.
make it happen. Yeah, but it's just like there's somebody who likes you. They're not doing anything wrong. It's fine. We just need them taken down because we actually have them going up.
Could
right
we
now.
change the name of the Festival of Friendship?
Yes, we
Stephen,
can.
Could we have it like the Stephen Brody Stevens Festival of Friendship?
We can do that tonight.
Okay.
That will get done.
All right.
So later on, you'll find it under the Stephen Brody Stevens Festival of Friendship.
Okay.
You can go subscribe right now. You can go subscribe at Festival of Friendship, Stephen Brody Stevens. You'll find it right away.
And I've done, I had, this is like for here at All Things Comedy, this is like my 60th podcast here, I would say. And then I did probably 120, 130 before. Was that what I don't know what the
yeah, you
tally
were up
was.
in the hundreds.
I was.
And
okay.
that picture can be changed. I couldn't find it a picture right for it right now.
Well, you've done a great job.
Delay.
Oh, thank you.
All right. I'm going to do like a 2-minute monologue, and then I'll bring you guys, I'll intro you guys,
Time that.
and then we'll do it. So this is the pre-pod right now. Now we will, Emma will press record, symbolically press record. Somebody's at the door? Brenton, I thought he was not feeling well.
Hey, buddy.
Not 100%, but I'm back.
Are you contagious?
I thought you were staying home.
No, I did the last 2 days.
Okay, you're feeling better?
Went to the doctor. I'm on some medication.
Are you taking apple cider vinegar?
I'm not. Yeah, probably still.
That knocks out a cold. I don't know what you have necessarily. Is it a cold?
Some kind of virus.
Ginger turmeric,
That could work
a
too.
little lemon juice.
I would say apple cider vinegar.
Indica.
Juice and honey. Water.
I was
That's
actually
a
going
lot
to
of-
text you to go to the dog
that's a lot
park
of
today.
stuff.
Didn't realize you were working.
I think apple cider vinegar. You might want to look into some of that and just start cranking that out, and that could make a difference. Right, Mary? Were you about to?
Reds and greens.
Reds and greens always help. Knock on wood, I haven't been getting sick, but I've read so many people talk about when they feel like a cold coming on, they take that apple cider vinegar and it knocks it out. It can do that.
I try it.
Eat healthy.
Eat healthy.
Eat healthy and drink a lot of water.
But you also have to be healthy. You know what? Save it for the podcast. That's
Got
what
it.
I say because I feel
Got
like
it.
we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Because we're comedians. We know our bodies.
And we're all,
I mean, we do. For
And-
comedians who get such a bad rap,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they should listen to us in terms of how we feel physically.
I mean, there
all
are
of
some
us.
Artie Langs out there. Their nose is missing.
Eric, we have to keep it positive. We have to keep it positive.
oh, man.
I don't think his nose is missing. It's spread out. The septum is like
Oh, man.
he's gonna have to get it fixed. Okay, let's not. I don't laugh at people's misfortune. That's not.
I was not
that's
laughing. I was laughing at the way you said it.
Yeah, but it's still coming from some guy who I wouldn't wish that upon people. But if you want to look at it some way, it is like if you don't, it's a good advertisement for not doing drugs.
Cautionary.
Yeah.
It's a cautionary advertisement.
Yeah, if you want to look at it that way and being serious, like
Mm-hmm.
you know that could happen from all those kind of drugs. You don't want that to have your
Learn from mistakes.
learn from mistakes. Okay, so we're gonna start. Emma will press record on the podcast. Stephen Brody Stevens, the Festival of Friendship. I'll do a 2-minute monologue, and then we'll bring you guys out and we'll talk. And it's about you guys. You get to a whole new fan base, whole new experience, and I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you very much. Here we go. I'm going to look into this camera. 2, check, 2. Here we go. Right there. Yep. 3, 2, 1. Yes, you got it. Hello, everybody. I am Stephen Brody Stevens, and welcome to the Festival of Friendship here on All Things Comedy, the network born in Burbank. You got it. B for Brody, B for Burbank, home of Bill Burr and buddies. You got it. Stephen Brody Stevens, 2019, January. We are doing a podcast. That's right. We're on YouTube. We're on Periscope. We are on iTunes as well, and other podcasting, SoundCloud mediums. Thank you. I am excited to be here to push positive, and we have guests. That's the new thing. The show is evolving. I am sober. I am pharmaceutical free, and because of that, I feel different. Now, I'm hearing a buzzing, and that's okay. That's what goes on podcasts, but I think it's getting better. We're cutting through. And we have guests in here today. There's a lot of energy. I'm getting used to being around different energies. I used to do a lot of solo podcasts. It was just Brody. Now I feel we have different people, and I have to get used to it. But I'll tell you what, this is good. Socializing is good. A lot of people have one guest. We said, let's bring in 2 and just blast it out. And that's what's happening. So this podcast is fun. We're talking, we're goofing around, and I got to learn as a host, as a comedian, as a person, how to deal with a lot of moving parts. And it is somewhat, it does take me out of my comfort zone, but that's how you grow. I read a lot of these positive energy tweets, and they talk about how do you grow? You get out of the comfort zone. How do you grow? You take a cold shower. How do you go to the shower? You walk. How do you grow? You put yourself in situations. It's basically the Joe Rogan lifestyle. Everything goes through Joe Rogan. Everything. You take a cold shower. You do cardio. You sweat. You let people. You type a lot on Instagram. Joe Rogan will do a long thing on Instagram. I do like a sentence and I'm out on Instagram. But these guys are doing a lot of writing. And I don't know if they I bet you, I'll tell you what, when you see somebody on Instagram and they have a long description of a photo, I don't think they're typing it in. I think they're talking it in. That's what I think. I saw somebody doing that the other day. I go, that's cheating, because you're supposed to be writing it. They're talking it in, and it's like a whole
too much.
Several paragraphs.
I lose interest halfway through that. I can't read those long captions.
It can be difficult at times. I'm short. I'm to the point. And I'll tell you what.
I like it.
I'm excited about doing this podcast each and every week. And Eric, who has been booking the show, and he has been producing it as well. And I could say in January of 2019, I'm actually proud of his growth. Not only is he helping here, he is helping himself in the stand-up comedy world. He's now assisting and hosting shows on a weekly, 3 to 4 times a week, I think, at the dojo at the Sycamore Cafe.
Sycamore Tavern.
You got it. And you're seeing that, and Eric is picking it up a notch. And I said, you know what? You did so well last week sitting in with Jeff and Feng Chao. I said, why don't you come back up to the table to begin the show this week? And he's done that. But if you've listened to the pre-pod, there's been mistakes. Eric has a tendency to get too comfortable and starts, putting the chest out a little bit and getting defensive. But I'll say this. I will say this, Eric. You haven't been defensive today.
And I was going to tell you, I was only puffing my chest out to show you that I'm wearing Stephen Brody Stevens t-shirt.
You got it. A Stephen Brody Stevens
Yes.
T-shirt, Eric. And I'll be honest, you have helped me a lot. You put up the YouTube page because you would be contacting me with a 1 a.m. text. You need to put up the YouTube page. Have you put up the YouTube page? And it's like, I'm not good with that. I can do it, but I show up, I do the podcast, and I go, why don't you help me out? And you know what? 2 weeks later, this guy took action and he made the website himself. He put up the YouTube page on his own. He created the email, created the title, and I want to say to Eric, thank you for that. That shows taking action, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
What took so long?
I was trying to motivate you to do it because I wanted to see what you would.
I don't need motivation.
Well, I just didn't know because with you, I didn't want to put the wrong things on your YouTube page and have you look at it and go, "Oh, this is crap."
Well, I've already done that a little bit, somewhat, but
and that's when I
didn't say it was crap.
No, I know that, but it was that feeling of I don't want to make it without you being there because I wanted your advice on what to put down.
But you ended up doing it without me there.
Because it had to get done.
It had to get done, and I already saw a couple little things that I would adjust, but I didn't say crap. Didn't say it looked like crap.
No, I was saying in my own mind is I was saying that maybe that's a negative thought.
That's a negative thought.
But I did it for the right reasons. Is I don't want to mess up. I want to make it right.
Okay. Well, don't think I don't want to mess up. That's negative energy. You're not going to be successful when you're going on stage or you're making a YouTube page and you're saying to yourself, "I don't want to mess up."
Yeah.
And then you're putting you're putting thoughts in the universe that could get to me somehow that I'm saying that this sounds like crap. Remember, we're working on that, Eric, and about like saying
positive energy
and putting your thoughts in my head, because I saw you do it to the audience the other night. You said, "You don't like me. You don't like this." It's like, Eric, don't tell the audience.
Yeah, but I told you about that set. I explained that set.
I know you did.
And it was just a bad set for me.
I get that. Eric did stand up the other night.
I did all new material.
I watched it.
Where?
At Dojo in front of like 8 comedians. And
they weren't laughing, and then you just decided to tell
No,
them.
I was getting like little chuckles.
But then you still told them that they didn't like you? You told them that they didn't like
you? Yeah, I did. I made a mistake right when I said it. I was like, man. I was just trying to like riff in the moment.
Words are reality, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, words are thoughts, thoughts are things.
But I told Brody right when I got off stage, I said I didn't like that I did that. Like, I just didn't. I was self-deprecating. I was trying to be self-deprecating, and I took it
That's Eric Aligny right there. He's producing today. He's been helping out, and I would say thank you to Eric for producing. So before we go on into full conversations without knowing the players on the podcast, that would be not appropriate to the listener at home. My name is Stephen Brody Stevens. I'm from the San Fernando Valley. We have 2 guests here today. One guy is new to my world recently.
Yeah.
New to my world, so for him to be on this show is kind of cool.
It's pretty awesome. Thank you.
Because originally he wasn't scheduled.
Mm-hmm.
You would have been on eventually I'm sure you would have made the podcast. Everybody gets on.
Yeah, after about 16, 17 other guys, yeah.
Yeah.
You're what, 5th?
16, 17 guys, a
Third
couple
choice, I think.
last-minute cancellations. And then we have another guy on the show who I do know.
Yep.
And we're both unique in a sense that we're Los Angeles native comedians.
Right.
One from the South Bay, me from the San Fernando Valley. And that's what this podcast is all about. I'm learning about who these guys are, and the audience gets to learn about who they are. And then we have a little fun in between. We joke around. We keep it light. We keep it polite. We're here on All Things Comedy. Yes, on Spotify as well. Did you mention that?
No.
Okay. What other formats?
We're on SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. Yes, you got it.
iTunes.
iTunes, heard of it.
YouTube.
Got it.
Twitter.
Timeline happening live.
Periscope.
Happening live.
Venmo.
Oh, is that like?
You can Venmo you for the show.
But Eric, you've been helping me. I may Venmo you.
Wow.
For helping.
Man.
This is so beautiful what's happening.
There may be a Venmo in your box.
I've never been more excited.
Because you've helped out.
You've never been more excited to have anything in your box. I love it.
It's never.
Because you've been doing great with the bookings. Thank you. And then with the YouTube page, taking action, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Look for
One of the fans just told me to STFU, so I will.
what's STFU. Why are you saying Eric again?
You're feeding it.
Your feet. Why are? First of all, Eric, turn over the phone. Stop looking at your phone. Number one. Number two. I'm controlling the podcast, not the Twitter guy in the Periscope. And then you're telling, again, you're being negative by saying that this guy's telling you to shut the F up. It's like, it's a weird mental game. It's passive aggressive, actually kind of on your end, to be honest with you. You can't do that.
Okay.
Stop going into the negativity. Stop going into the darkness. Stop doing passive aggressive. I'm 48. I'm Hebrew Buddhist Christian. I'm ahead of your moves. So you got to stop doing it. So I'll give respect where you booking the guests. You're
Too many mistakes today, though.
No,
You just did it again.
you did it again. Stop it. Or you might have to do a timeout. I'm sorry. You might have to go to a timeout if you keep effing up.
He's put himself in a personal timeout right
Just
there.
think, Eric, this is your role on here. Think producing, helping Brody, occasional here and there, and we'll see. Let's not bring any kind of darkness.
Got it.
Thank you. It's positivity. That's what we got here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Stephen Brody Stevens. This guest right now, we have two of them. This man just got off the road touring Canada with the great Russell Peters. He is from Long Beach, California. You've seen him on The Tonight Show. You've seen him at clubs on his own all across the country as well. He travels out there with Brent Morin. He's done shows. A lot of stuff. He was on, like I mentioned, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
Yep, I was one of the last guys to do with him.
That's pretty cool. The Tonight Show. And he is here right now. Let's give it up for my friend, Jason Collins.
Give it up, guys. Give it up.
Yes, you got it.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Happy to be here.
Jason,
Yes, sir.
would you agree or disagree with some of my... I mean, you're here for the pre-pod.
Yes.
You've seen everything that happened today. Would you say that I'm right? Am I wrong?
You are 100% right. Here's what's going on. You subconsciously feel like you deserve that treatment. As soon as you change your mind on that,
Yeah.
you're not even going to look. You're not even going to care that those messages are coming in because you believe it. But part of you, like when we talked about you in front of the audience and you told them you guys don't like me.
Yeah.
You believed it because maybe subconsciously you think you don't deserve them to like you. You got to change your mind on that. As soon as you change your mind on that,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, everything's going to change. You got to believe the hype.
I'm getting better with it these days. I used to be a lot worse.
Okay, well, you're in Los Angeles.
I know.
This is the major leagues.
Right. But don't even tell me that it used to be a lot worse. I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I get it.
Yeah. Because that's
In the past.
it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen you in some of our text exchanges. You'll say things in the text like, you think I'm stupid, or you think I'm this. And it's like, no, I don't. I think something else, but I'm not thinking that. and you put that out. So it's like, it's passive aggressive. And then I watched your stand up. I actively watched your stand up the other night, and
That wasn't a fair judge of my stand up though.
Why?
I was doing all new material in front of 8 comics.
But
here we go again,
But
Jason.
it also doesn't matter.
You don't think I know that? You don't think I know that you went up essentially first in a showroom where there was a lot of comedians? You don't think I knew that? I knew that.
No, I know you knew it, but I'm just saying it's not, I wouldn't want you to see me like that.
Why not?
We're
It's not-
comics.
Why
We've
not?
been doing this forever.
You don't
We
think
know
I've
the
done
deal.
open mics? You don't think I've done shows?
No,
with-
I know you have.
Because I've seen you kill. When you came out and visited us in Tampa, you came into a very positive situation. Me and Brent, the
You
two of
guys
us
rocked it.
There was not a negative vibe in the room. You went up. I'd never seen you really do a full set. I wasn't worried about it. You went up and you had a great set. The club owners were happy. The managers were happy because there was none of that extra BS.
Yeah.
There was no apologizing for something that didn't even happen yet. A lot of people do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to apologize ahead of time, but you just put it out there that this is going to suck now. You know?
Yeah, you can't, you know. It's like the other night when I saw Eric at The
Sycamore,
dojo.
yeah.
The dojo.
The dojo.
You went up basically first. The host went up, and you went up, and you did a short set. And all I said was, you did. It was a little dark, little like some edgy humor. Yes, it was new. It was a little edgy, and all I was saying was, you know what? You're going up first. Just keep it light and polite.
And I agreed with you. I thought I did a bad thing by opening up with that.
You didn't
kind
do
of
a
material.
bad thing. It was
See,
probably a
the
good
words. You
thing.
gotta change
Actually,
your
it was a
words.
good thing
Yeah.
because you learned from it. You should
Yeah.
want to have
Yeah.
bad sets.
Yeah.
But I'm
put your
telling
down-
you,
yeah,
you
you
have to
push
like.
yourself
You're
down so
going
much.
up.
I
You're
need to go read
going
a
up.
book.
You're going up first. Light and polite. You're not. You know why? It's like you don't need to take these chances up front. And then I saw that you said you don't like me. You put that out there again. That's the other thing.
I need to rewire my brain. I need to rewire those thoughts. Like those,
Yes, eliminate them.
yeah. And I agree completely. I'm not fighting it. I agree.
Nice.
All right. Well, okay. Looks like we had.
I like that room, by the way, the dojo, and
It's
I like
great.
that
It
they
is a
call it
good
the
room.
dojo. You know, I did martial arts for 30 plus years.
30
Yeah,
plus. Aren't you still doing it?
No, I kind of retired from it. My body was done, and comedy picked up so much so that I was able to move on to this next thing. But a dojo is the school, is the training ground. So that's what in the training ground you get your ass kicked a lot, and you keep getting it kicked until you learn how to not get your ass kicked. That's what I like about the dojo. So when you go into a place like that and go, man, that's what it's for. It should make you happy. I just learned something,
Yeah, you should be thankful that happened.
No, yeah. I mean, I got to work on material. I got to work on future material.
But it was more than the material. It was you going up 1st. That's what you're going to be hosting there.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work on just the idea, light and polite, going up front, keep it. You don't need to go dark early on. Set the tone for positivity.
Hosting is such a great exercise for stand-up too. People
It's
don't realize
very
how
hard.
people think it's like a bad spot, and no, that is the best. First of all, it's up to you to set the tone of the room
Yeah, absolutely.
And keep that tone.
and keep that tone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Commanding that room full of people, that's not an easy thing to do, and you get to practice it all the time.
Yeah.
So there you go. And we're going to get back into this kind of talk because we have another comedian here today too.
Wait, we do?
Yes, we do.
Where?
Hey, we don't like this negativity. But you're gonna have to join Eric in timeout. Actually,
Yeah.
This guy is here today, and I don't know if Eric knows that I just kind of met Vinny recently.
I thought you
Yeah,
knew
it's
him
a-
a little longer.
Not really.
this
Because
is
weren't
a
you on
new
socially,
friendship.
I thought you were on socially awkward. like-
Yeah, recently though.
Well, I was, yeah. I was recently on Vinny's show.
Oh, okay. I
But
thought it was
even
longer.
before that, I saw just at the Christmas party, at
Yeah.
the Laugh Factory Christmas party, and then the next day it'd say, "Hey, you want to do socially awkward at the Improv?"
Great show.
So yeah, it was a great show, and I did that. So I had a lot of fun with that, and then boom, now you're here on the show. So did you know that I basically pretty much just met Vinny at the Laugh Factory?
No, I mean,
You didn't.
Maybe those two people canceled for a reason.
See,
There you go.
positivity.
Positivity,
That
energy.
was beautiful.
Thank you.
See,
I'm coming
turning this
back.
around.
I like it. So this guy, and I didn't know because I know, like I said, I know about Jason. I know your story, and we'll get into that some more. I didn't know that you're from Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
He's from Pittsburgh.
Originally born in Youngstown. I went to high school with Tony Hinchcliffe.
You did?
Yeah.
No way.
No.
I have a crazy story about that.
Oh,
If you wanna
wow.
if you want to hear it.
Of course.
Yeah.
So you're from Youngstown, Ohio.
My parents divorced when I was like 14, so I moved to Pittsburgh when I was like 14, 15 years old. And
Pittsburgh's not far from Youngstown.
then, no,
right?
it's like an hour. And then I lived in Pittsburgh until I was like 25, 26, moved here.
Wow. So
But
you.
I've known Tony since he was a kid.
Oh, we got to hear some of that. So we have here today Vinny Fastline.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
From the
Hold the applause,
Berg.
please, thank you.
I mean, that's a pretty cool name, Fastline.
Yeah, people think it's a fake name. It's my real last name. Fazolino was my great-grandparents' name. And then
Oh,
when
so
it
that
came-
it is a fake name.
No.
There it is.
They,
There-
yeah, I guess.
Hilarious.
They came over
People
here.
think it's not my real
No,
name.
it's, no,
Originally,
it's not a stage LA name. People think I made it up.
But
myself.
Fasolino's a cool name too.
Yeah, my great grandparents switched it to get jobs here in America.
Did you ever think of like adding a T, like Fastline?
Everybody spells it that way. I feel like almost I should, but I don't want to change my name.
Vinny Fastline. Did I say it right?
Fastline.
And it says here you joined Facebook in 2005.
Huge credit. This one guy on Tonight Show, Jay Leno and Vinny on Facebook, 2005. Give him a hand.
And we have 156 mutual friends.
Yeah, we do. We got a lot
like
of friends.
Should be more.
Should be more.
Work on that. Work on that, you guys.
Now, how long have you been out here in Los Angeles?
6 years. 6 years.
6 years, and you came here from Pittsburgh?
From Pittsburgh.
You never lived in New York?
No.
Never lived in Boston?
Nope. Just came straight here.
I always ask these guys who are from like the East Coast, do they ever consider like when they come straight to LA, did they ever consider going to New York? Did they consider going to Chicago? Did that cross your mind?
You know, it didn't because my cousin lived out here.
Uh-huh.
He's a manager in the business, and he's, been a family member my entire life. So I was just like, when I moved out here, I moved onto his couch. I lived on his couch. So I kind of had like an in to getting here. I used to visit him every year. And I used to be like, wow, this place is amazing. And I moved here, and
Would you ever go to New York City?
I like New York City, but I don't know. This is home. This is home for me.
See, I grew up here in the Valley, in LA, basically. And I always wanted to go to New York. There was just something about seeing those big buildings. I was just drawn to going to New York City. And I did go to New York City. I would live there from 97 to 2000.
Oh, wow.
I was just drawn. But again, I'm from here. Now, you're from here.
I'm from
Jason,
here.
did you ever consider, I don't think you lived in New York City.
No, I've been there. I mean, I don't even know how many times. I worked there a lot. But I love here. I love home. But I'm not a Hollywood guy.
Right.
I live down in Long Beach, California,
It's its own
Lakewood.
new
and
city.
It's just
Yeah.
a small town living. And I love it. But I've never considered living anywhere else. I did actually consider living in New York for a little while, but it's extremely expensive.
Of course.
Especially the way that I would want to live there,
I was just drawn to those buildings. Growing
love
up in the San Fernando Valley, I mean, we had some buildings. It was just something about going to New York. And then actually, when I lived in Seattle, Joey Diaz, that's where I started. I went up to Seattle. I did go. I went to Seattle, and he said, go to New York. And I went to New York, and I loved it, but I did want to come back home, and I did.
You were there for 3 years?
I was there in New York City from 97 to 2000 because when I began comedy here, I took the Comedy Store workshop at UCLA back in 1993, and I had my first show in the original room.
Nice.
It was part of the graduation in 1993, and I did well. And people give me their business cards, you're a comedian, and all that. And then I did one open mic, and I said, it ain't for me. I knew doing that first initial open mic in the San Fernando Valley, where I was from, that I didn't want to go that route.
Yeah, I've never done one.
It was like, you never did an open mic out here?
I've never done an open mic anywhere.
Are you serious?
Really?
That's crazy.
Wait,
Never done an open mic.
that amazes
It's
me.
crazy. That's
That
like
is
that's
You
unheard
went,
of.
you went
Yeah.
straight into.
Oh, I BS'd my way into comedy. Yeah.
So how?
For sure.
So how did you? We're going to get back to Vinny's story. Vinny's got a very interesting story, but that's shocking news to have somebody who says, "I never did an open mic."
Never.
How did you get to where you are, or how did you get into comedy then?
I got into comedy by lying to a club owner that I was already a comic for 5 years. And I dropped a few names and said they told me to come here, that you'd put me on. And he said, all right, come back this week. And my first time ever doing stand-up was on a Saturday night show, the third spot, 15-minute set.
Where at?
Haha Cafe,
Wow.
North Hollywood. Yeah. Buddy of mine that
pulling
I've been
strings.
friends with for years, Joe Coy,
Right,
told me, you want to start stand-up, that's a good place to do it. And of course he meant go do the open mic.
right.
But me, I didn't start stand-up until I was 35.
So you were 35. You had to speed this
Yeah,
process
I was
up.
35 years old. My dad was dying. I was questioning my own mortality. I'm like, I don't have time for anything. So I went and basically knocked on the door. It was at nighttime, but I asked for the owner. I said, can I talk to the owner?
Jack at the time. Yeah.
Jack comes out
Still.
and says, hey, my friend Joe Coy told me to come down here. I said Joe Coy and John Lovitz because the night before I was with Joe at a show that he was opening for Lovitz out down in Brea at the Improv down in Brea. And I says, my buddy Joe Coy and John Lovitz and Fraser Smith.
Fraser Smith.
That's
Love
what,
him.
those three guys I was with the night before. They told me that this was the place to come to. Kind of gassing him up a little bit. This is the place to do stand-up. And I said, I'm here. He goes, well, how long you been doing comedy? I said, 5 years. That was the number that just came out of my mouth. I said, 5 years. I've been doing 5 years. He goes, really? I go, yeah, I do a lot of work down in Orange County, blah, blah, blah. He goes, all right, why don't you come back tomorrow? I'll put you on the show tomorrow. So I show up. I had nothing ready.
How'd you do?
Did great. Yeah, I got off stage and he says, "Come back tomorrow. You're on the show again." I've been doing stand up ever since.
Wow,
Really?
that's crazy.
Wait, so you were like, did you have jokes, or were you doing crowd work, or were you doing?
I taught large groups of people for about 15 to 20 years before I did stand up. So I already had that muscle work.
Cult leader.
Yeah, I could command a room full of people for an hour. I can command a room full of 5-year-olds for an hour and
That's
keep
how you,
their attention.
That's how you have to treat audience.
That's
A
how you
little
treat-
creepy, but
You have to you keep their attention. That was hacky. You keep their attention, and but then you with kids you really have to teach with humor. And so I had, and then comedy was huge in my house growing up. Like the next Carlin special on HBO was like the Super Bowl in my house. We would all pay-per-view and sit around the TV and watch it. So then I just decided, I'm going to try this, and I said, all right. My brother and I sat down. I think I told you this story a long time ago. And I said, let's write some jokes. And we both went, I don't know, how do we do that? So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to go up and talk about my wife, my kids, and just see where it goes from there.
But
'Cause
had you like practiced that in your living room, or
No.
have you done some of that? You said
I feel like practice was my job, standing in front of a group of people and making them laugh every day. And you have to understand, we go out, in LA especially, what's the maximum amount of shows you'll do in one night?
3.
The max.
Yeah.
3, right? I'm doing this every day in front of large groups of people 4 to 5 times a day.
Are you saying with the dojo,
With my
like
schools.
your school, the karate?
Yeah. I'm teaching 1-hour classes 4 to 5 times every day. So I'm in front of a group of people talking to them and making them laugh and getting them to do what I want them to do, for 15, 20 years, 5 hours a
So
day.
that was your open
Right.
mic.
So
that was your
that was
training.
my open mic.
Okay.
No,
you were going you were going to a lot of shows with Joe Coy and Russell Peters too. So watching
for about
them,
a
I'm
year.
sure,
yeah,
helped.
and that was kind of that was my
he
intro.
left that out. He left that out.
Well, that was my
Watching them
intro, and it was an unrealistic intro because I thought that comedy was Saturday Night at the Laugh Factory with Dane Cook, Joe Coy, Daniel Tosh. That's all I knew of comedy. I didn't know that there was this that scene with the open mics where you went to coffee houses, and I didn't even know that existed. My thought process was, you're funny, you can do this. I literally didn't know how it worked. So I would go for about a year or so when I finally told Joe I wanted to do stand-up. I mean, he took me to shows locally, not on the road. I would go to his Hollywood shows or like anything he had in Orange County, and I would go every night with him and just watch him do it. And that was my intro, watching great comics and great rooms with great crowds crush, not knowing that that's not how it is everywhere. You know, it's usually a battle. Half the audience has got their back to you because they're watching the game, and they're kind of pissed off you're talking anyways.
Right.
And you got to find that.
But would you
know.
like drive to the gigs with them, and would you ask
Yeah.
them questions like, "What are you thinking right
Yeah.
now?" or "How are you?" would
Well, what I would
see
do,
all of that.
what I started noticing that I was doing was I wasn't so much watching them, I was watching the audience. During the show, instead of watching and being a fan and listening to the jokes, I was watching the audience. I was watching how they reacted, what they reacted to, how they reacted to it. That I was like studying this whole thing, how it works, for a couple of years. And then one day I just decided, there was some circumstances. Joe Coy called me one night and said, "Hey, I'm doing the Irvine Improv tonight. You want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, because he knew that I lived down halfway between where he lived and where the club was. And
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, yeah, but can you come by my parents' house because I'm hanging with my dad?"
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah." And my dad was in the entertainment industry. My dad had a hit single in the 70s.
He did?
Yeah, he had a hit single in the 70s. I still have his recording of his interview with Dick Clark.
Disco Duck.
He
Rick Dees?
was Disco Duck, Rick Dees. Yeah, he had a song called Friends. Band was called
Friends?
Band was called Feather.
What are the odds? What are the
Right?
odds that you'd be on the Festival of
There
Friendship?
it is.
Your dad's title was Friends.
Friends by Feather was it?
And he probably gets a cut of the Friends series.
Charted in 1970 or 71 on Billboard, like top
I was
5
born
or
in
something.
1970. Connection, Year of the Dog.
Born in 71. But so my dad was always interested in meeting Joe because entertainers he was like, I want to, because my dad retired from it when I was like 8 years old and kind of walked away from the industry. So he was always interested in meeting Joe. So Joe came over, met my dad. My dad at the time was battling cancer. He was pretty close to not, passing away.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe meets my dad. They have a conversation without me in the room. We get in the car and Joe goes, "Do you really want to do this?" And we always had the conversation. I was like, "Yeah, man, I tell you." He goes, No. Like, stop joking around for a second. He says, do you really, really want to do this? I says, yeah. He said, then stop being, his exact words, he says, then stop being such a pussy. Do it. Or your father may never have the chance to see you do it. And I had not thought about it that way. And I was like, oh my God, you know what? You're right. So that was the next night when I went to the Ha Ha Cafe. Because that night it was him, John Lovitz, and Fraser Smith was hosting, Joe Coy was featuring, and Lovitz was headlining the Irvine Improv.
Right.
So the next day is when I went and said, yeah, I was hanging out with my buddies.
Well, you were.
Fraser Smith, John Lovitz. Had never met John until that night. And then Joe Coy, and they told me to come. And then that's when Jack said, come back tomorrow. And then I came back the next day, and then the next day, and the next day. And I was a regular performer at the Ha Ha, like immediately. And
Did not
something
know that.
like, yeah, almost 30 days to the day after my first time ever doing stand-up, my dad had passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But he was able to see a videotape of me do it. And he said to me, this is what you're supposed to be doing. He goes, you look seasoned.
Yeah, that's cool.
You look seasoned. He
So you
goes, "This
started
is
at 35.
35 years old.
Wow. That's a late start. And I would say, because of all that, I think I don't want to say it was like you're being dishonest, but going straight into that, I think that's you can get a waiver for that.
Yeah.
You're 35.
Partly dishonest. The dishonest part was when I said they told me to come here, you'd put me on the show. But I honestly didn't know any better. I didn't know, like Joe never really said, you got to do this first, you got to do these mics. Nobody really told me that. My intro to comedy was A-list clubs, watching these A-list performers crush every night. Like that's what I thought it was.
Do you think that was like it's like a kid hanging out with like a dad who's a major leaguer, and you get to hang out with the major league?
Yeah, I got to hang out with the major leaguers.
But they still had to go to the minor leagues. You know, these kids.
But I
still go to
wasn't
the
around
minor
for
leagues.
that. That's the thing. I didn't know. Because I don't know baseball either. And I know that, you know, with martial arts, you start at the bottom and then you work your way up. But at the same time, I had this. I'm in a hurry, because my dad just died young. I'm probably gonna die young. That was just my mindset at the time. I'm nowhere near that now. I know that's not how it works. But at the time, I was in this big hurry.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Hold that thought right there, Vinny.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's a hard story.
I
That's
don't
a
wanna
hard.
follow that.
That's hard to follow.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you're
so
from Youngstown,
Yeah.
Ohio.
I'm still not doing well in comedy, and no. Yeah. So, man. So where do I start? Well, let me tell you the Tony Hinchcliffe story, because that's really fun.
Okay, Tony Hinchcliffe story. Vinny Fastline talking. I didn't know that you guys had a relationship.
A lot of people don't. So yeah. So when I lived in Pittsburgh, I was doing comedy. You know, a couple years there, and I would visit my cousin who lived out here, and I wanted to come out here and get up when I was visiting. So I called into the Comedy Store and I said, hey, I'm a comic from the East Coast. I would love to get up. I don't know what it takes, but can I send a tape? Or go ahead. You want to say something funny? Go ahead.
No, I mean, how awesome would it be if it was
that easy?
Because you don't know.
Oh, no, but it gets better. It gets better. So I call in and I say, hey, I want to get up. And the guy's like, nah, I'm sorry. It's just, you got to sign a list. You got to wait for hours. You might not get up. I'm like, I'm only here for a couple days, please. He said, yeah, it's really tough. I said, I'm just visiting from Pittsburgh. He said, oh, I'm from out that way. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I was like,
Oh.
I said, I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I was like, where'd you go to school? He's like, Ursuline. I was like, my whole family went to Ursuline.
Wow.
He's like, who's your family? I was like, Gianna and Dara Fastline. He's like, hold on a second. Gianna Fastline? He's like, dude, I went to Sadie's Hawkins dance with Gianna Fastline.
Oh, no way.
He goes, it's Tony Hinchcliffe. I was like, it's Vinny. He's like, holy shit, dude. He's like, come down. I'll get you on the show.
Nice.
And that was when Tommy was booking that.
Wow.
But it was crazy because I just came out here. And even when I just moved out here, he helped me get in. I had to follow Chris Rock one night. I remember I was just a few years in. So it's just one of those things, like, a connection can help. I mean, he helped me
That's amazing.
get some spots at the store. And he's, it's just crazy because I've known him since he was a kid. I didn't even know he lived out here.
What a great small world story, too, to be on the... It was a phone
call. And
he said, "Wait a
he
minute."
didn't say, hey, it's Tony Hinchcliffe when he answered the phone.
That's awesome.
Nobody talks on the phone anymore either. That couldn't happen today.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
this is the #1 top rising comedian.
So he said, did he know of you?
Yeah. I mean, we used to ride the bus together. We had stories.
He took his sister to the dance.
He took it. Yeah, she took
So he's your uncle.
He took my sister to Sadie's Hawkins dance.
So you had no idea Tony was out here.
I didn't know. Maybe I knew, but I didn't like put two and two together or whatever. My sister might have told me, but Yeah, it was crazy.
So that was 6 years ago.
That was 6 years ago.
And you came out here to the store, you got on, and you got into the comedy world. And then what happened? Like, where did that take you after that?
I used my cousin. He's a manager in the business too. It kind of to help me get into the improv. But the thing is, these guys open a door. I had to walk through them myself. I had to create those opportunities. But same thing at the improv. I was working at the Pittsburgh Improv. So when I first started comedy, it's a long story, but when I was a kid, I had a brain tumor. I'm going to just breeze through it.
You did?
I'm going to breeze through it because it's a long one. But I started when I was
feel like
16.
he's trying to up your dead dad.
Yeah. No, oh, man. No way.
No, it's better. He's still alive.
Oh, man. No, but my story is I started when I was 16. After the brain surgery, I did this bucket list item stuff. And then when I was years later, I was just like, let's make this a real thing. And I did it at the Pittsburgh Improv. Started opening for guys that came through, like Sebastian Maniscalco, TJ Miller, guys who would come. And then I said, I reached a peak. I got to move. So when I moved out here, I used every connection I had to at least get me into the club. So the improv, my cousin called in. I went down to the improv, and I had to, my audition thing was I had to do 2 shows. I remember my first shows with Amy Schumer and Owen Benjamin, and then the second show I did that they brought me back was Gabriel Iglesias. Now to me it was just like I'm starstruck. I'm like, holy shit, what am I even doing on these lineups?
These are people on television.
Yeah, this is crazy. I was nervous even at the Comedy Store. I was so nervous, but and then they offered after a few times of coming back, they brought me back. They offered me my own show. I had my own brand that I developed similar to Comedy Juice, Socially Awkward, which I originally intended. It was a creative space. So like when I first opened it with a really shitty video that was like me like pranking people and stuff, right? It was bad, I know. And then at the end of it, I had like a 15-minute podcast. I did like twice, and I was just like a live one. I was just like, that's too much. Let's just do stand up. So
Were you doing open mics in Pittsburgh?
yeah, I mean, I was so many open mics, and I was doing everything I could. The thing is, it's a big fish in a small pond. It was easier to get up. It was really spoiling because you could do open mics, you get 20 minutes. You would be 2 years in. You're not funny. I was not funny a few years in. I was getting $500 gigs to do like fundraisers and stuff, and I was and then you come out here and you're like 3 minutes, no pay. Get going.
Yeah, it's amazing when you do the road and you talk to a lot of these local guys and they're like, yeah, I've been just getting these like 15, 20-minute spots here.
You're like,
and I'm like,
dude,
wow,
yeah.
come to LA, you'll get 3.
Yeah.
3 minutes. Yeah.
You're lucky to get 10,
Get
15
the light
minutes.
at 2.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I just, like I said, I knew once I did that first open mic, I said, I gotta go to a small market. I knew, but I was 23, and I said, I just had, because I wanted to play baseball.
Yeah.
That was my thing. I wanted to play baseball, and I went to Arizona State. I had an opportunity to play there, and in the back of my mind, I liked show business. I was a funny guy without trying, I guess, but I wasn't like the class clown or anything, but I was like funny. I had something, but I wanted to, I took an acting class my last couple semesters at Arizona State, and they would just like laugh at me. So instead of trying to be serious, I should probably just focus on comedy, but stand-up comedy wasn't really a thing back then. It wasn't like it is now. I never thought about doing stand-up. The only stand-ups I knew were maybe Andrew Dice Clay or Stephen Wright. That was about it. And then some guy said to me, Brody, I remember a football player, said, you should do stand-up. And that's when I started writing jokes in 1993. Probably do a lot of the same
Who was the
jokes.
football player? Just a buddy or?
Yeah, just a guy just somebody I knew on the team. You would know. I think his name was Jim Watson. But because all the athletes would be in the study hall together, so I'd be making the girl basketball team laugh and the golfers, just like I guess being myself. So then when I did the acting class, because I was around that jock world, you get around, it's like they pick on you because they actually like you. It doesn't feel great, but there's a reason why they're doing it. And then they kept me on as a baseball coach. They had me kept me around. I hurt my arm, and the coach Jim Brock said, "Why don't you stick around? We'll find a position for you." And they paid for the rest of my school. So I knew back in college, even in high school, I knew that having a good personality is going to give you opportunities. Like I coached football in high school. They had me at Reseda. I played baseball, but the the baseball coaches also coach football, and they said, Brody, why don't you hang out with the team, like the football team? So I kept hit points. I'd go on all the road trips.
Was the football team any good?
Yeah, we made it to the city finals. We lost in the. I'm always around winning teams.
But I'm just saying that, like, I wanted to know because the Cubs and the Red Sox and all the like winning you've been around. I wanted to know, did they win a championship?
Yeah, I've been around. I've been lucky to be around winning. I learned about winning from Little League on. My teams weren't always winners, but my friend Mike Borzello, who's now a coach with the Cubs, his teams always won. He always won.
Now in Little League, were you always trying to make the other kids laugh, or you were always trying to perform in some sort of way? Was there always? I'm asking. Was there this bug in the back of your head, this performance bug, whether it's stand-up acting or just being the life of the party of the room?
I think I liked positive attention.
There it is.
But I'm still very sensitive. I was like, I didn't like getting picked on necessarily, but I was like, I think that people made fun of my face. I was like, I remember we were in 93 of the College Baseball World Series, and I was eating sunflower seeds, and this guy, one of my teammates, says, "You got a funny face when you're eating." So it was like those little things stuck.
Isn't it funny we remember those things? It's like, oh man.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I got a funny
Comedians
face.
are sensitive.
We are.
We
So
remember
sensitive.
that. Like, that sucks. We're like a normal, is what I call them, muggles, if you want to be a dork. They would just go, your face is funny too, and just let it. That kind of stuff sticks with you
Forever.
Right.
man.
forever.
Yeah.
And now you're like, you know what? I got a funny face.
Well, I didn't like getting picked on. Like, people would make fun, like, oh, I got a big nose, or I run goofy. Like, that stuff I didn't like. That kind of kept me out of baseball, and it kept putting the spotlight on me. But when people said, you're funny, and when it was like a natural thing, and I was thinking, okay, I like funny, I like sports, maybe I can be an announcer. That's another reason why I went to Seattle after college, to see if I can get into announcing. I worked at the sports.
That's performance. That's in the public eye.
Yeah.
That's what my point is. I feel like that we didn't choose this. This is I know this is who I am. Like, when I decided to do this, it was the worst decision. I mean, my wife's here, Elaine. She could tell you, we lost so much money. I mean, like, I had a business. I owned and ran a business, and now all of a sudden, at 35 years old, I'm going to go do this thing that you won't make any money doing, especially starting in LA, for at least the first 5 years. But it was in me. Like, I just couldn't.
You have to do it, almost.
I took time off. I took about 3 months off once, and it was painful.
I gotta hand it to him too. I mean, even when I moved out here, we've been friends since pretty much.
How long has it been now since you moved out?
I mean, I've been here 6 years, but
Oh, wow,
I mean,
yeah.
I've known you pretty much when I got here.
When you first got here, yeah.
But I mean, the fact that you lived in Long Beach, well, close to it, and drove every single night,
Yeah.
like an hour, and go
Which-
back and forth. I was always like, man, that's
Which, if you think about it, a lot of these
dedication.
comics on the road that we meet, they're driving 2-3 hours a
Yeah.
night to go do gigs. 30 minutes is nothing for me.
yeah, it's true.
But it was it was like it's people would go, why don't you just move up here? I'm like, I can't.
You got a house.
I got a house and I got a
kids.
family, and
I would say, like, getting back to the it's I always say, like, I didn't pursue comedy. Laughter chose me.
there it is.
That's what I say.
That's what I mean. It's
yeah.
just it's a thing that you don't choose. I really don't think you do.
Yeah, I didn't choose it.
And the people that do, and I'm going to be really honest right now, the people that I could tell the people that chose it and said, I want to do that because that looks cool. They're not funny.
Yeah.
I don't find them funny. And
Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just looking at you because of eye contact. You're hilarious. And
But
you
I don't
do-
always feel it. You have to
Oh,
like
I-
you
You're
have to
hilarious,
you have
dude.
to believe it. You have to feel it. Those are that takes years and years. You
Yeah.
know, I did so much audience warm up. Kind of like took me off the path a little bit, or I did. It's like I would say, like, the last few years, I've really been focusing to say, like, I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm not just like a funny guy, because being a stand-up comedian, it's all encompassing. I mean, when I put my tweets out, I put the microphone, like, I'm doing stand-up.
Yeah.
Because I did that audience warm-up. I've done like 3,000 shows, and it can kind of like take you away. Because I would have a captive audience for, all afternoon at Fox Sports for, a couple hours, and I'd get that comedic, that comedic itch would be scratched in the afternoon,
Right.
and you're getting paid. So it's like, I'm getting paid a few bucks. I'm getting to meet heroes through sports
Yeah,
and all
it's
that,
amazing.
and I'm getting that out of my system. So then at night, it was kind of like I didn't like push it so much. Plus, I had to like protect myself and like not
Right.
burn it at both ends.
But there's something about that late night audience that's not built in. It's like cruise ships. Cruise ships are built in. I mean, that's another thing that you can get lost into.
Right.
Especially as comics, because of the money situation. Cruise ship gigs will pay amazing.
Yeah, they are good.
But you're stuck on the ship.
But you're stuck on the ship. The audience has no choice. They're there. It's not like they're walking by going, hey, we should. It's set up. You're set up to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about going to a bar show and no one's listening. And then at the end of your set, they are silent. And you can hear a pin drop because you got them. You got that room of unexpected victims of your stand-up
Bar shows are fun.
to listen, and it could be just so much fun. But it's just something. You know,
They can be very, very, very aggressive too. Like the bar shows where you have music, people will get upset that they have to hear comedy.
Don't have a comedy show on Monday Night Football.
yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Oh my God.
What are you doing?
Or
People get so upset. You're
Or
like,
have
oh.
the show and leave the TVs on.
Right. You're performing in front of them.
I was
Yeah.
doing Erica Alegria's show in the bar in Burbank, and they let somebody celebrate their birthday while I was on stage, and they brought their cake on stage while I'm on stage, and they all got around and sang happy birthday during my set.
And what did you do with that? Did
I
you
just
play
rolled
with it?
I rolled with it.
You
It was
have to.
fun.
It makes you a stronger comic if you can find a way to make that fun for them and make it part of your
But
act.
my first thought was like,
What am I doing here?
I was like, this is gonna go.
Oh,
bad.
people love
No,
taking.
it's all part of
But I
it.
said my first thought.
Right.
You
I-
want
I
these
pushed through.
experiences.
Right.
Like
This was also 6 years ago.
Also, I feel like so many people like to take us out of our element. And then I started thinking, because I thought, why are you taking me out of my element? In other words, why am I doing a comedy show, at a brewery or at a comic book store or at a sex shop? Like
They did one at a jail yesterday.
right? And
Are
then
you serious?
My idea that I had like 6 months ago, they did it yesterday.
Right.
They went to the LA County Jail and did
Who?
400 convicts or whatever.
And it frustrated
Was that,
me.
that was
how come
yesterday?
I wasn't booked on that?
I don't.
It used to frustrate me. I used to go, why are they doing this? We should have it in a comedy setting with a theater and a, but then I thought, wait, no, our setting is everywhere. That's what makes a great comic to me, is the experiences in the world, being anywhere in the world and making that funny and turning it into something great.
Doesn't make it easy. Sometimes it's tough. I mean, I just did like a corporate fundraising thing with Francisco Ramos and Abby Roberge, and we did it in a living room at this in this millions of dollar mansion in Santa Monica, in the living room, no microphone.
Oh, that's great.
We stood there like it was okay, and it was so.
That's awesome.
But you can do it. It's
You,
like,
you could. We did it. I mean, we
Yeah.
still had fun. It was still a blast.
Squat melt change you
And
for that.
the gig itself, you're like, what this is going to be. But as soon as you get that thought out of your head and say, let's just do what this is. Let's just make what this thing is great and have fun with it. I just did a show on a horse ranch at night outside, and it was
I wonder,
awesome.
how did it smell?
Terrible. It smelled like horse shit. I did a show on the beach, standing on a rock with the tide coming in.
MTV Spring Break?
No,
With Carson
maybe
Daly?
12 people sitting on the sand watching me. They paid me a good amount of money to come out and do this for a private party, and I'm like, oh, Malibu Beach, cool. It's probably at one of those really cool. No, it was on the sand. I'm
During the
standing on a
fires?
rock.
Is there a microphone?
And I have a picture of me doing it, and it looks like what you said earlier, cult leader.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do look like a cult leader with my subjects in front of me. But you know what? I took what that thing was, and I made it fun. Tide was coming in. I got to say, it looks like my set's over because the tide's coming in, so we got to go anyways, you know.
And I
How
actually
long-
took that advice from you in Tampa. You and I were walking down in Ybor City.
Mm-hmm.
Hand in hand.
in
Definitely,
hand,
because
smoking cigars.
those roosters are dangerous, Brody.
Yep.
So we're walking, and we're talking about comics and the way you think, and you were telling me that the one thing when you go on stage is to always make sure you're in the moment and having fun.
Yeah.
And like that, I did that night. It was just like I went on stage and I just said, I'm going to enjoy this moment.
And you
I
had a-
know
and you had a
I know
great
the
set.
I know the jokes.
And you had a
I
great
don't know
set
why I
that night.
think, and yeah, so it really helped.
Now if we could just
Help
get
me.
Vinny.
Vinny, this is an intervention for you.
Guys.
I
Thank you.
I always, like you said, you had the you taught with the dote. You had your martial arts, correct?
My brother and I had some schools, yeah.
Like I went to Radio City. I was a tour guide at New York City. I was a tour guide at
that's
Radio
awesome.
City. So I had like 3 to 5 1-hour tours every day, or when I was working, and I would have all the school kids from the Eastern Seaboard, and I would have the Rockettes on it. I take them in the auditorium. I take them under the stage.
that's
I
cool.
take them up in the box office. I take them into the seamstress. I take them into where the Rockettes would train, all over. And I would do the script, but I was also, it was just talking. And I learned.
You were entertaining them.
I was I guess I was,
You
but
were.
I mean, I was doing the script. I threw in a couple of my lines, but I was still like staying true to the script and being good with that.
He was
But
a black belt tour guide.
I was we had bow ties and all that stuff.
But they were black, right?
They were a black bow tie.
Black-
Okay,
I
black
mean, we had
bow
black
tie.
kids. We had all kids. That's the thing. Like I always felt like, okay, I'm here in Los Angeles. Can I be funny on the East Coast? Like people from the East Coast, it's a little bit of the tougher lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, that's another reason why I wanted to go to New York. Can I be funny in New York? If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. So by working at Radio City and having these tours every day, got paid a couple bucks, not much, but it was good structure for me. And then I also was a barker at the Comedy Cellar. So I barked for
that's
about
cool.
a year and a half at the Comedy Cellar from like 1988 to 99. And I was out there bringing people in. And I mean, that was one thing that wasn't great about that. A lot of the comedians, like a Godfrey, Todd Barry, Mark Maron, Greg Giraldo was there, and Jim Gaffigan and Judah. I had to get over the fact that their first impression of me was being the barker at the
Right.
Cellar.
Yeah.
And I was so intimidated by Esty, who runs the place. She's very intimidating.
I met her once, and it was a little intimidating.
Yeah, and I never asked to even like have an audition to try and get in there. And the reason why I took the job is because I was doing the open mics around New York, and that's where Joey Diaz, because I met Joey in Seattle. He says, you got to go to New York and then you'll grow, and they'll love you out there. And just go for it. Because New York, it was about personality. It wasn't necessarily, for me, it wasn't about the jokes. It was about like doing those Lower East Side alternative rooms.
I love doing stand-up in that city.
Yeah.
One of the best cities.
I try to get there twice a year. It's just so.
But that's where I learned to be myself, like just to get up there and talk about my day and getting off the subway and what was going through my mind. And the comedians liked hearing that, the artists and the poets and all that. And then I got bumped up I did Luna Lounge, which was the big alternative room. And that was where like Dave Chappelle, Mark Maron,
wow.
UCB, Janine Garofalo. And I started doing those shows, and I was holding my own. I was like doing fine, doing good with it, hosting. And that's when I kind of had the itch to come back home. And a lot of the guys that I started with doing the open mics there, they had migrated, moved out here to LA, and they're working at the talk shows. So I already had like an in. So when I moved back in 2000, right away I got on the Craig Kilborn show, boom, and then I got Premium Blend on Comedy Central because the bookers for Premium Blend on Comedy Central, they ran Luna Lounge.
Right.
Wow.
So right away I got the Kilborn spot through Alex Solkin, who's now at the Family Guy. So because he loved my cable access show in Seattle, and
That's so cool.
I'd send him tapes, and so he was always a fan. So when I moved out here, boom, I got that. And then like right after that, I got the warm-up gig at Best Damn Sports Show because I was doing Miyagi's. You never know who's out there. Miyagi's was a sushi
Oh, yeah, I remember
over
Miyagi's.
on the Gower Gulch over on Sunset
Sunset,
and Gardner. And so I would go to that, and Rich Williams, he was a comedian, still is, and he said that, Brody, I'm working on this show. It's like Saturday Night Live for sports kind of thing. He would be telling me about it. And then one afternoon he called me. He says, what are you doing? I said, nothing. He says, you want to come by Fox and Fox Sports and talk to the crowd? And I talked to the crowd for a test show. Then they said, come back tomorrow. Came back, and they said, do you want to use me? And that was the Best Damn Sports Show. So you never know who's out there at these shows. You never know. So like showing your face. I mean, I did a show the other night at the Roosevelt Hotel, and my friend, who I know, but he said, Brody, you want to do the podcast? Boom, the next day. I saw you at the Laugh Factory Christmas party. Boom,
Right.
next day I'm doing that. So a lot of it is,
yeah.
you got to be in it
Out
to
there.
win it. And it's not always, though, at the Comedy Store
No.
or the Laugh Factories. It could be a small weekly show.
Right.
And
It
you
could
never,
be the tavern. It could be the bar show that they have at whatever bar. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I tell people the Hang. The hangout is so important.
Yeah.
People-
you can put out your tweets and
People
great
don't understand
Instagrams.
that FaceTime is so important. Like I used to go, I mean, when I first started, Elaine would be like, why are you going if you're not on the show? I just got to be there. I just got to be there because maybe somebody will say, hey, do you want to be on the show next week? And you learn that that's exactly how it works. And people used to tell me, how can I get so-and-so manager or whatever to come out and see me? I don't know. It's just
luck.
They find you. I remember I learned those lessons
They
early on.
find you.
Yeah.
You hear that, guys?
They
find you.
And it's based a little on luck.
I
Is
learned
it?
that-
Well, you create some of your own luck.
Oh yeah,
That's
true. Yeah, you do.
You will eventually get your in the right place at the right time moment. You will. I've gotten mine, a few times, but then it hills and valleys. But I learned the lesson early on. You guys know Lachlan Patterson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude is so funny. He's one of my favorite comedians to watch. The guy is so funny. And I didn't really know him very well. Him and I are like buddies now, which is cool all these years later. But early on, when he first got, when Gotham was still on Comedy Central and it was called Live at Gotham, he had gotten it. And we were at Comedy and Magic Club, and I asked him, man, how did you get that? And I didn't realize at the time what an insulting question that is. And he looked at me and goes, I'm funny. And then walked away. And I was like, ugh. Now I get it. You get that with the hard work, and you get that with the time, and you get that with you're in the right place at the right time moment.
Yeah.
I got it because I'm funny. You know? I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So how do you book your shows, Vinny? Is it just like a lot of it?
Payoffs,
Just
payola. The comics pay him a lot.
trying to
of
mix it.
money.
I'm mixing in everybody. I'm mixing them all in.
How do I book the shows? Well, I'm doing my improv show monthly, in the Comedy Store I do Belly Room monthly too. But the improv has always been tough because they book half of the lineups, and I'm doing the early shows. There's only an hour and a half show, and it's like six spots. I'm on it, so I'm always getting 2 spots. So over the years, it was. I even told him, I was like, this kind of hurts me because I get 12 to 14 spots to book a year, and usually I would book big names because it helped promote the shows.
Right.
So I was like, this kind of hurts me because these small spots I can't get on because comics that are like new to comedy are like, we're not. Let me do your show. I'm like, dude, you're not even. I can't even get you on if I wanted to.
So they ask. Guys are asking you.
Oh, I get asked all the time.
And how does do you like it when guys ask?
It's tough. No, I mean, I feel bad. Like, I want to help people. I'm not one of those guys. I remember there was one night that it was just such an insane lineup. I shouldn't have been on the show. We literally had no room for Jeff Ross, Jay Moore, and like Tommy Davidson. They had to tell them we had to tell them no. We could. There's no room. It was like 2 years ago or something. It was like Louis C.K., Arsenio Hall, Dane, Spade. It was like bananas.
Was that the night he did it and pulled his pants out?
Oh man,
Were you there?
this
that
was a while. This was
who did
before all
that?
the butt.
This was
This was
Louis C.K.
I'm talking about Louis C.K.
Well,
That was
we can
just-
get into that stuff later.
No,
We'll
but
have
it's
a couple
pulled his
topics
pants out.
later. Well, I got nervous. I didn't.
No, but it gets tough. I mean, the belly room's a lot. They're really flexible about booking. They're awesome. Like the Comedy Store's like,
Right.
They just want their 2 spots.
yeah, they just want their 2 spots. I do produce it with another buddy of mine, Pat Quinn. He helps me run the show, and we kind of booked it together. But yeah, and
Mary and I get hit up all the time for Bones and Buddies too.
Mary, who helps book, Mary
comedians.
Stevens helps books Bones and Buddies down in Hermosa Beach. It's a great show. It's up and coming. I would always, this is what I tell comedians, just be funny. And I know things have changed, things with the internet and
That's it.
this and that.
Still.
But if you're funny, they'll find you. Let them ask. Let them-
Undeniable.
And I remember Zach Galifianakis. I was friends with Zach, and he was doing Largo all the time. And I said, I want to do Largo. I'm not doing it. I wish I could do it. He goes, just keep doing what you're doing. That's what I did. I never panicked. I just said, I'm just going to keep being funny, and that's how they'll find you.
Yep.
They'll find you when you start asking people, can I be on this? Can I be on that? Again, sometimes you're putting that person in a awkward. You don't want to be one of those guys always asking to be on shows. I don't think, but for some people it can pay off. But I've also
Be funny. You're right. Get funny. Be funny.
even if it's like a little off the beaten path show at the youth hostel,
Yeah.
at a bar, because
never know.
you're doing comedy because you love doing comedy, right?
right.
Well, I will say it pays off. I mean, I asked Brent for that spot in Tampa. And he was more than willing because we've known each other for so long, and I've never asked for anything from him.
Best guy to ask, too.
And he was like, "Yeah, no problem." Actually, we went out to eat lunch, and I didn't even know I was going to be opening. He said, "Hey, you're going to be opening tonight."
You asked or he asked?
I asked him previously, like probably 3 days before, and he was in town. He was like, "Let's go get some lunch." I went out to eat lunch with these guys, and he was like, "Hey, you can open for me tonight." So it was.
That place was good that we.
But I don't know if I would have gotten that had I not asked.
Yeah, see, I hear mixed reviews about. I don't like asking. I don't ask for anything. I hate it. But
I'm with you. I'm mixed on it too.
there's I have so many people that are like,
Sometimes you got to ask for what you want.
you got to ask at some point. But I'm also one of those guys. I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna ask, it's got to be worth it. I'm not gonna bother people. I'm gonna ask one time. I'm not gonna bother people for stuff. And if it's just.
But if you're around, if you're showing your face, that's almost like asking. Look, I
Right.
see you here all the time. Of course you want to do the show. Kind of, there's that kind of, it's like a lot of times you go to a show that you're not on, support the show.
It also helps having your own show.
Yeah.
Trading spots is a thing, right?
Yeah, but
I
the
do
improv
that.
hates that. And again, it's
mean,
also like
nobody-
the trading spots was for me at the improv when I first started. Like I said, there was only 2 spots. It was so hard to get book people. That's why I wanted to start expanding that brand and start doing more other shows because I wanted to start doing another like a small theater that independently I could just book anybody I wanted at any time. Just because that would help. I still want to do that actually. Just do like a small theater somewhere.
Now, do you guys feel, because comedy is always changing? That's a thing I feel like. I feel it's changing so much right now that
The comedy itself or the stuff all surrounding the comedy?
The scene or like.
I mean the stuff all around, and then a little somewhat the comedy itself. But that's why I always say, like, I don't know. You could say just be funny. Maybe that's not always good enough these days.
Oh,
now you have to
gotta
find
have-
something else.
You got to have you have to have your verified check. You have to have a certain amount of followers. You got to have this many subscribers. It's right now. It's crazy good to have a podcast. It's there's all these different
It's
techniques
also
that come.
good
and
to
go.
be a good person. Like
Yeah.
I'm all about that too. It's like
Yeah.
you could be funny, dude.
Bobby Lee said it to me. To several people. He said the secret is just be nice to
Be
everyone.
nice.
nice
People
to
don't get.
everybody.
I see guys. I mean, it's not only in just comedy, but in the acting world. There's like people that are amazing, talented, super talented. But if people don't want to work with you, they're not going to. They don't care how talented
But
you are.
these days they don't want to work with you because maybe you said something wrong on Twitter. That's the
that's
thing, or
true,
they don't
yeah.
agree with that.
We got to
So
be we
there's
gotta
a
be
pro-
so careful.
there's
Yeah.
a problem with that.
That's why I stay away from politics.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not even. It could be anything. It may not even be politics. You just may say a joke that's offensive to one person, and it's not even political. I see stuff now. I was like looking at some of my things. I go, wow, I could see somebody nitpicking me on that. In terms of like being a good energy, when I did my audience warm up, and I said, I need to. I walk in that studio. I'm bringing positive energy, and part of that was not like auditioning in the afternoon. Like I had to be on set every day, say at 2:00. I couldn't be late. I didn't want to be racing from an audition to get there and be all frazzled. So I really took self-care. I ate, I exercised, I relaxed. I was ready to go, and I did it. Now, I could have maybe, like I said, been auditioning and doing some, but it's like I want to be the best warm-up I can be. It's like same thing like doing the late night. I'm so good at late night, I do a lot of late night. It's like I give that late night spot at the Comedy Store, and the reason why I still get it is because initially I got it like 6 or 7 years ago because Tommy, the former booker, I was going to go do La Jolla, and I had to do some extra time. You're going to headline to La Jolla. You got to do 45 minutes or whatever. So Tommy said, I never, ever had a main room spot. My spots at the Comedy Store were always like 11, after the hump usually, like getting ready for the late night or the late night. Those were my spots. I'd get like
Original room.
Yeah, original room, couple spots, late night, setting up for Don Barris or whatever, playing around with that. But then when I got to do La Jolla.
I think I did that with you. Didn't I?
La Jolla?
Didn't I middle on that one?
You may have.
Yeah.
You may have. I've done it a few times.
Yeah.
You may have done it. But Tommy said, I'll let you do the main room at the Comedy Store to get ready so you can spread it out a little bit. So like the first night I did like 30, and the next night I did like 40 minutes, and then I went down to La Jolla, I did it, and I came back to LA. He gave me the spot again, the main room spot. Oh, okay.
That's awesome.
And I get to do 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and then I just kept doing it, and they kept giving it to me. So now it's like, okay, I've been doing this now for 6 months and then a year. And then I ended up, after like a year of doing it, I said, I should capture this. This could be a special. So I just stayed in that spot and really maximized it. And I did my special, and it's available on iTunes. And it's me in the late night in the main room. So it's like I get almost too obsessive, like with the baseball stuff. It's like I've spent so much time hanging out with the Chicago Cubs or Dodger Stadium. My friend was a coach of the Dodgers at the time. So I'd go do audience warm-up at Chelsea, and then I'd go straight to Dodger Stadium, and I'd hang out at Dodger Stadium.
That's cool.
But maybe I should have been focusing on my stand-up more. You know what I'm saying? Like I've almost like spread myself thin in a sense that I was doing baseball. I'm local, so I've got my mom out here. I've got my hometown roots. It's been like a longer path, and I feel like that's what I was saying earlier. Like I got to really tell people I'm a stand-up comedian. So these things are good. Like I'm not looking back on it, but I feel like sometimes I got to be, more focused on being a stand-up. Because even Rogan was telling me the other night, Joe Rogan was saying that you're great at the late night stuff, but you were on early and it was funny and silly and you were good. You should be doing that. It's like I get like I'm good at that one, like monochronic. I'm going to do that.
Tunnel vision on that one
Tunnel
thing.
vision, just max it out. And then you max it out. You max it out. You max it out. Then you're close to 50. It's like I maxed all these things out, and then things keep evolving. It's like, well, I don't know. So
Yeah. Well, I remember I knew you as a stand-up because I saw you in that documentary. I think that was before I moved here.
Enjoy it.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
That was before you moved. How long ago was that?
That
6 years
aired
ago.
like in 2011 or 12, like
I think-
5 years ago.
I think it aired right before. Yeah, and maybe I just moved here.
I made
but
an
that's-
ass out of myself
That's
at
how
the
I
premiere.
found you out.
You found me out through that?
Yeah.
I guess people liked it.
I liked it a lot.
People liked it, the special that I did. I kept it real. I definitely kept it real.
It was great.
Like that was all
liked it.
about me doing my shows, me doing warm-up, and Zach always thought I was funny. So Zach, a long time ago, Galifianakis, said, I should do a show with you or about you. And so I just started, when he planted that seed, I just started thinking of like funny scenarios, thinking comedy, thinking funny, baseball, warm-up. He always got a kick out of how my relationship with my sister, like my sister and I would always like bicker over silly stuff. She still lives in the Valley, and we would argue, but Zach thought it was funny.
The date was very funny.
I didn't think it was super funny. Oh, me dating my sister?
No.
Or
the
meeting
date-
her?
No, the date where you met that lady. and
Oh, yeah. Meeting. I met
It
my
was
sister.
very funny.
Okay, well, there you go. But all that, Zach thought that kind of stuff was funny. So that show, I visualized it all in my shower. I manifested pretty much baseball stuff, comedy stuff, just visualizing in the shower. People talk about meditating. I meditate in the shower. I'll take those long showers. And I was visualizing it and manifesting it. And then I remember that we shot the pilot. We did a little 15-minute pilot, and HBO liked it. And we were all, and it was about my sister and I reconciling for my mother's 80th birthday. So we put all those little silly elements into the show. So there's like some heart in it,
Yeah.
and then there were some. That was my phone. Some heart in it, but also some comedy and some silliness. And again, I visualized it. I came up with the idea in my head, in the shower, knowing that Zach would approve, and he liked it.
Hey, Brody,
Yeah.
we're at 30-minute warning.
Thanks for stopping the story.
No, you were at that cusp. I saw you were at the hill, I thought.
No, you've done it again, Eric. You've done it again.
You have a new nickname. You get Monkey Wrench.
I'm in the middle of a story, right? Am I right or am I wrong? And then he says, we got 30 minutes.
He's giving himself time out.
Why
right?
would you do that?
Oh my god.
Just come back and sit down. You got to take a leak? I've never had somebody have to take a leak in the middle of a podcast.
He's going to pee out the negative energy.
Oh.
Stall here.
But I remember, and they liked the show, and I was going to Ireland. I got to do a festival in Ireland, and then I was going to go straight to the Montreal Comedy Festival. And that's where they said, take a victory lap, Brody, have fun with it. Like, why are you... People were like, some of my people involved in management or agents or that sort of thing, they were like surprised that I wasn't super excited about it. I was just kind of playing everything I just wanted to stay where I was at. That's the baseball guy in me. Just keep.
Also, when you've been doing this long enough, you get a certain reality. You know what the reality of this business is. So you're like, not to get way too excited. In the beginning, when you first hear those things, you're like,
Right.
I'm throwing a party. But,
So they said to take a victory lap. So that's where all this, like, the craziness came into play, because that's when I started, like, adjusting my meds a little bit so I could go to Ireland, drink a little beer. So I adjusted my meds. I was taking, like, an antidepressant. Who isn't? And that's kind of what, like, set me off a little bit. And it actually put me in a good mood, and people were so surprised to see me happy and work. I mean, I was actually happy, and I kind of felt like I was out of character. They were so used to Brody being the warm-up guy, Brody being this guy from the Valley, Brody being a little different. That's what we like. And then when I felt like I got to celebrate, I'm kind of like growing out of the warm-up, that kind of like threw people off. And that's where I like started having my problems right there in that 7-day period of like me pushing it. But I hosted TMZ. I was doing shows. I was getting laughs. It was just like, I was like borderline manic, because you're not supposed to stop your meds cold turkey. And then when I was having people showing concern, that kind of just amplified it. So then I put that all, then they put me away for a little bit. I needed a little break. Could have just gone to rehab, to be honest with you, or vacation to Hawaii.
right.
But then I worked all those elements back in, and I think that people really liked that part of the show, like that. And when I initially came up with the show, and when they did the pilot, none of that was in the cards. Me having a reaction and going away and having to start all over. And then when that happened, I just put it all back in the show. So I kept it real. And I do get a lot of positive feedback on the show. Nobody says
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a really good show.
Yeah,
That's how I knew you. That's
The
how
first Comedy Central drama.
first Comedy Central's first drama, but I kept it real. I kept it honest. I kept it true. And, it's like, I can't always, I just can't tell. Like, even when I do a podcast, I don't know if they're good or bad. I just don't know. But a lot of times you just have to, like, not overthink it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And
So that's how comedy works, in my opinion. If you overthink it, you can tell when you see somebody on stage that overthought, whatever the word is.
yeah.
Their bit or joke, whatever they're doing, you can tell you can tell they thought long and hard. I wonder if they're going to think this is funny. What are people going to think is funny?
I think it's funny.
Yeah, you can't write a joke hoping the audience is going to like it.
Exactly.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
You like it?
Absolutely.
Do you believe in it? And then you convey it to them.
Uh-huh.
And I also just think, like, again, with like warm-up energy, I just saw, like, it's just like it's just a lot of it's energy. It's also joke writing too. It is. There's no like shortcut. I mean, I guess there can be some shortcuts, but it is stage time and jokes. I always feel like I need those jokes.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, go ahead. You can bring up some topics.
Do we have any questions from your Twitter? I don't know if you checked that.
Ask them.
No, I'm saying they're going to your Twitter, so I don't see them.
On my Twitter?
People are going to tweet at you. They did it last week. I don't know if they did it this week.
Aren't they in the Periscope?
I'm in the Periscope right now, so I can. If you guys want to ask questions, you can go ahead. But I'm pretty sure somebody.
Now, why don't we have Mary here?
Mary Stevens.
We have Mary Stevens, who's sitting in today. Mary, you want to jump on the mic and say hello or anything?
Come here, Mary.
Here she comes, Mary Stevens. She helps run a show down in the South Bay called Bones and Buddies.
Nice.
She is a great, positive supporter of stand-up comedy, and we love having her at the Comedy Store.
Hello.
And
Hi.
she said, I want to come down and check out the show today, and she's here today. Mary, have you been on a podcast before?
No.
You've not been on a podcast.
Really?
Wow.
It's your first podcast?
Yes.
Wow.
How does it feel? You want to talk into the mic? You want to talk into the mic?
I'm shy.
You're shy. So how is this podcast? How's it moving along from the couch? How did it feel? How did it look? How did it sound?
Were we boring? Did we put you to
No,
sleep?
it
Okay.
was great, and I'm thinking of all of the connections I have with you guys.
Yeah.
My
bet.
dad was a brain surgeon.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
and-
He removed your tumor.
Yeah.
Could have
And
used them.
I realized I lived in New York the same time you did.
You did?
I did. I was there 99 to 2002.
I was.
Wow.
Now, where were you living?
Midtown East.
Okay. So you would go by, you probably walk by Radio City Music Hall.
Yes, and I was dating Donald,
Uh-huh.
my husband at
Your
the
husband.
time, and he lived 1 block from the Comedy Cellar. But
You probably saw me barking.
we probably did.
Come on in. We got stand-up, cheaper than a movie. You got it. Godfrey, Artie.
Nice.
We would walk by all the time, and well, connection with you since you were on Bones and Buddies, and
Yeah, I've
everyone
been to your
everyone
home.
loved you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Vinny's on the next one.
Vinny's on the
awesome.
next one. When's the next Bones and Buddies?
February 16th.
Now, Mary,
Yes.
I'm surprised you don't have a podcast?
No.
She's just said she's never been on one.
She has an idea.
Never
for one.
been it. That's
No.
just incredible.
No.
Eric, you're not on the mic. So when you're yelling out, nobody gets to hear it.
My husband says I don't have a voice for radio.
Mary said she has an idea for a podcast the other night, and I told her I think she should do it, and I think you would like it. Brody.
What's the
It was an
podcast?
idea for you, not for me.
I think it's good for you.
You have a great voice.
It was a year-long podcast starting in January
Okay.
where people, it would be maybe 4 comics who would come in once a month. And in January, they would set their goals for the year, if they're comedy goals or personal.
Mm-hmm.
And then each month, the 4 comics would come back, and it would be checking with them to see how their goals are going and help them achieve their goals.
I like that.
I like it. Well, you know what? Speaking of goals.
Held accountable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are, if you don't mind, Mary, maybe can we throw out a couple goals here for 2019? I don't want to steal your idea, but just my goals, if you're to ask me,
Yeah.
Brody, what are some of your goals?
Brody, what are some of your goals?
I would like to learn how to play the drums officially, get behind a kit. I mean, I have good rhythm. I have all.
Kill the chairs.
I kill the chairs, but to actually like get behind a kit and use the bass, the feet and all that. That's what I want to learn. And actually, yesterday I took a lesson, my first lesson with a fan who I actually did it. So it was kind of like hard on my brain because you're learning you're counting and you're learning all that, but that's part of it. So one of my goals is to learn how to play the drums, and that's a specific goal. And I think overall goal, I would like to cultivate friendships more this year. In fact, yesterday I met my childhood friend for lunch. Yesterday, Bramson, so I reached out to him. So I'm making the effort to cultivate some friendships more this year.
I like that.
And I think part of it is also booking these guests on the podcast. So I'm letting Eric book guests, do all that, more the merrier. Let's get it going, and it being more social, because I think that you can isolate. I'm single. I'm 48. I need to socialize. I need to and also be helpful for people. Be there for people in some. I'm not saying volunteer necessarily, but make yourself available to things.
You should help us out with this regular hero thing we do. You know that. I do that with Steven, right?
With Steve Simone.
Yeah, that's me, Steve, Simone, Johnny LaQuasto, and Brett Ernst. We started that.
Now, what is that exactly?
It's a charity that we joined in with a guy named John that we basically we do blood drives at Children's Hospital, so it's not money based. That's where they needed help with blood, and it's crazy. There's 10 billion people that live here. Nobody donates blood, so we were like, let's just do blood drives. And then we started getting donations. Guys started donating money, and then we're like, why don't we do a show that we could get more money, because we were doing pizza parties monthly. We were buying funerals for kids that we lost. We were buying wheelchairs, but we do a lot. I mean, we were supposed to do a blood drive in the next month or so. We do them every couple months, and then we do the shows too. And the shows, we just take the money, and we were doing pizza parties and stuff like that. It's cool. It's really fun.
That's amazing.
We don't make any. I mean, there's no money involved. This was not even a money.
Oh, then
thing to
never
begin.
mind. So, I mean, you could, but do they actually speak? Can you donate? Do they for plasma? Do
Yeah.
people do that? You
100 we need it.
Yeah.
They need it desperately.
Especially in West Hollywood.
Eric, please talk into the mic. Can you hurry up and
take your
talk?
time.
Yeah, take your time. We're all waiting for you. Put the
I
head.
was saying, especially in West Hollywood,
What's
with the
why?
donations, with the blood donations.
Is that some kind of like
No,
inside joke you're
no,
doing?
it's not an inside joke. I'm just saying there's a higher HIV rate in the West Hollywood community than there is, just in San Francisco, the same thing. There's a higher HIV rate than there is in.
Let's keep it positive.
I was just saying that's one of the reasons that the donations are probably.
Let's just talk
Give
about
her
pizza
back the
and
microphone.
Children's Hospital.
Children's.
That is awesome work. That's good work.
Do you have any specific goals this year?
I'm a father, obviously, so I'm going to remodel my bathroom.
Really?
I do. I want to remodel.
Are you gonna do it by
the
yourself,
bathroom.
or you gonna
And
like?
you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to donate blood to this guy's.
You've supported us before.
Why would I do that? I'm just kidding. Yeah, I have.
No, you've been down there, haven't you?
I don't remember.
I thought you had.
Where's it at?
It's everywhere.
Children's Hospital.
The
We-
one
I mean,
on
we do.
Sunset.
Yeah, Sunset.
They also help out veterans. I've seen something with that.
Yeah, we've done a bunch of different stuff, but it started mostly with children's.
There's
Steve, those guys, if you don't know, I mean, you guys know, but if you don't know Steve Simone, John LaQuasto, Brent Ernst, those guys are like the best dudes.
People don't realize.
Steve Simone is the best
Great guy.
ever.
Great guy.
He's just such a sweet, positive.
Nicest
If you
dudes.
are in a bad mood, hang out with that guy, and he will cheer you up.
He'll
with
pick up your
second.
spirits.
He's done it for me so many times.
Incredible.
There is something about giving, volunteering. Like when we do that at the Laugh Factory for Christmas and the Thanksgiving, it really does feel good to feed people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not my food. I'm feeding. I'm scooping. I
You
mean,
looked
I
really
do-
happy. You looked really happy when you were handing out the turkey and the.
Well, I do mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm a good mashed potatoes. Last year I was on the gravy.
You're a good scooper.
Yeah.
Got it.
I got
It's
the,
perspective. Puts everything in perspective.
Well, you see, they're actually happy. You see their
Yeah.
faces, and you know that these guys are down on their luck, or they're not. They're not all there. Some of them, or they're just under. You see it on their faces, and it feels good.
I'm going to make an observation as a comedian, though. My wife and I have done this a few times as well. We would go feed the homeless man. Sometimes they're picky, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
Can you maybe get some of that gravy off of there? Is this old? I'm like,
Oh, man.
Could I
question.
add something?
Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry,
Mary.
About volunteering. Next month, I'm actually starting with a program called Stand Up with Comedy, and that's a local program that helps students at underprivileged middle schools who are interested in stand-up comedy.
Oh, cool. I like that a lot.
Great. More people to fight with stage time.
And so you
go do that in Youngstown.
Yeah.
It's an 8-week program, and you help to mentor the students and help them, with their jokes.
That's cool.
And then they do a show at the end of the program. So I thought that sounded like a lot of fun.
Let me ask. Comedy is very popular. I don't want to be a downer. Could there be a bubble bursting?
No.
You say no.
No. There could be a burst in certain things. Maybe the podcast thing. Maybe I don't know. But
The
I don't
virtue
think
signaling.
comedy.
That bubble's gonna
What do you mean
burst.
by bubble
The what?
burst?
The
Like,
virtue signaling bubble.
I
That's
mean,
gonna
it's
burst.
Oh yeah, that's all. But comedy's not going.
comedy's very popular.
People
Yeah.
want to laugh.
Do you think that popularity is going to wane a little bit?
nah, I don't think so. I do feel like it's being oversaturated.
It has actually, if you think about it. There are certain types of comedy that has done that. Like for example, the whole Vine thing.
Yeah.
That thing blew up like a. I mean, it couldn't have gotten bigger, but then all of a sudden it just went away. Because
I liked Vine, actually.
I loved it. I don't like what it became. I feel like it got a little annoying for me. That's why I got off of it. But there are certain certain areas in comedy that might happen. But as far as like the core comedy, like stand up, I don't think is going anywhere.
Yeah. I don't,
But there's a lot of guys people are doing comedy because it's popular. I can
Yeah.
do it. I'm getting it.
It's because of the popularity that people are doing that. In other words, when you and I were first watching comedy, there was very few places we can go to see it if we weren't old enough to go to the clubs. I mean, it wasn't everywhere. It's freaking everywhere now. I mean, and it's like that's what's allowing people to go, hey, you know what, that guy's doing, I could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. Like
well, I think
with
there's-
social media. With social media, what I'm saying is when I was a kid, the special came on once a month on HBO. If you had HBO, you can see it. A&E had a show for a while that they shot live from the Improv.
You need
but it was
the improv.
But it was right now I could immediately watch somebody do stand-up comedy right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know?
So it's
So
a change.
obviously
Everything's-
people are going to go, I could do this. And because it's so accessible, it looks easy. And when you got guys like Bill Burr and the greats making it look easy, that's what make people go, I could do that, because he's making it look easy, and it ain't that easy.
And I think that live comedy in the clubs is popular because it is freedom of speech. You're not on Twitter. You're not watching, mainstream media. You're in a room, probably a lot of different people in the audience, a diverse audience, and you're hopefully off your phones, and you're all focused on one thing. And you know what? People enjoy it, and it shows. I mean, look at the Comedy Store. It's how popular it is, and it's diverse. Occasionally they say lineup, so there's not a girl on there, there's not this and that, but for the most part, lineups are fairly diverse, and the audiences are fairly diverse, and it works.
Yeah.
I just want for us as the comedians for it to continue to be a safe space.
Without
And I
being-
feel like it's not so safe anymore because of the use of cell phones and because of people sneaking videos of your set. Because you might be having a bad night and you might be pissed off at something, and somebody in the audience might piss you off a little bit, and you might go in on them a little bit.
Yeah, you might say the N-word.
But then someone's going to catch that on video, put it on Twitter, and now this is the guy he always is. I mean, that's the only thing I'm a little that I don't like being taped when I'm at the clubs.
Yeah, because it's not a fair assessment of who you are.
Especially places like the original room where you're there to in the dojo where you're there to work on some stuff and work stuff out. And to me, it's my therapy. Stand-up is my therapy. If you guys know anything about my set, I only talk about my home situation, my life, the things I'm going through, the things that make me angry every day. It's therapy, So sometimes when I'm in a dark room in the club and I feel like this is a place where I could just get some stuff out. But now I don't feel like that as much as I used to because
you have to hold back. No, you have to hold back.
Well, it's. I wanted to
You've
be.
you've never been like a controversial or
No.
you've never
But
teetered
I've-
lines of.
But I've
you're
had
pretty
nights,
clean.
But I've had nights where I've gone in on an audience member, and
Yeah.
if somebody showed that on YouTube, it might not make me look so good,
Yeah.
But
Can I give you an update real quick?
Yeah.
Ron Taylor at 3:58 just woke up and said, "Damn, my fault. I was asleep. My phone on silent. Shit, I'll make it up to you, brother."
That's okay. No problem.
Hey,
No-
but I'm just letting you know he got back. That's a responsible adult.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ron.
We do have a question. This is from Yellow Goose at Yellow Goose Neck. Question for FOF podcast. Can someone ask Mary if Eric's microphone smells like cigarettes?
100%.
Can someone?
No comment.
Oh,
Does it?
Probably.
Most definitely, yes.
Him and everything around him does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eric, are you going to try and cut back on
There's a resolution.
I've got my-
cigarettes or pot or alcohol or
I actually plugged in my Jewel when I left the house today.
the singer? You
This-
plugged her
I
in?
plugged her in. I'm gonna listen to Jewel all night, and tonight's gonna be the night that I start. So I'm gonna make this on the podcast today. If you see me out in the Comedy Store or anywhere smoking a cigarette, I give you the right
Don't
to
make
come
it.
up and smack it out of my hands.
So you want to try and do that? Okay.
That's good. It's a good move.
Yeah,
A lot of people are smoking those jewels.
I've got a Jewel. I'm gonna smoke that. And
What
I
is it,
need to- I
nicotine
need to
vapor?
force myself to quit though, because every day I wake
What is
up
it?
and I'll go for
E-cigarette.
3 hours without smoking, and then that third hour will hit, and I'm just like
Are you exercising?
walking.
How do you keep track of your steps? I'm not talking from Carney's to the Comedy Store.
From Carney's. to
Are
the
you
Comedy Store
walking?
back.
Are you
No, I'm
actively
walking.
walking?
I walk in Koreatown. Like I told you, I walk through USC. I think the campus there is pretty cool to walk
That
through.
was 3 weeks ago.
No, I'm saying I still do that. I live right there, so I'll go walk and I'll go get something to eat. I'll go stay.
Hang out with the students. That's cool.
The whole area right there is really.
Are you
cool.
walking as Are you? Are you
I'm
going,
walking 'cause
I'm
I
doing
like
this
to
because
walk.
this is an exercise.
I
that I'm
like
doing.
to walk.
Oh, okay.
It's good for my brain. It's like it's a way to clear my mind. If I'm even like I was a little bit down the other day. I took a walk and I felt better. Like I just.
What were you down about?
It just a normal down. Like not anything I could pinpoint. It was just I feeling down.
He was
Went
down
for-
about 4 packs.
down about yeah.
Vinny, do you exercise?
Yeah, I just exercised this morning. I work out pretty.
Bragging.
No, I just have to, or otherwise I don't feel good.
Yeah, you're right. And now
Every day.
you do every day.
Every day. I
What
walk.
kind of exercise?
I walk every day.
He's a sensei.
Do you?
Like
Is
fast walk. It's like borderline running walking.
It's like a power
But
walk.
it's not to go anywhere. That's specifically why I'm walking, to exercise, get the steps in, get the heart rate up.
How many
burn the
steps do you
calories.
shoot for?
I shoot for at least 10,000 a day.
Do you
10
get
10
it?
to 11 Yeah. I average about 15 or more.
So you do?
You're like the LeBron James of steps.
No, I have to. It's my only exercise, and then I'll do push-ups. But I'm not I'm not a member of a gym or anything like that.
So you'll like leave your house and you get your pedometer or your
Every
phone.
morning. My wife was right here.
Oh, you cheated. Oh, we see a pattern here.
I cheated once. How did I cheat? Oh, when we were in DC. Come here. We were in DC, and I was counting steps, and we were competing because DC. If you've been to DC, it's a walking town.
Yeah.
It's like New York or anywhere. You walk everywhere, and we were competing with our steps that weekend.
People do that, yeah.
And then one night we went salsa dancing. We found a salsa club, and we went dancing salsa. But I kept my phone in my pocket.
Oh.
She kept hers in her purse. So at the end of the dance, I was.
Dude, that's a lot
30.
of steps.
How
though.
many steps was it? Like it was
That's
up
a
there.
lot.
It was
That's
in
a
the,
lot
It was
of
in the
steps.
20 to 30,000
Yeah.
steps. Ding 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 ding. But
I
so
think-
that was the one time I cheated.
I think active walking, like power walking, is it's helped me out.
Physical
you were-
exercise for at least 20 minutes a day is it's all you need.
It's proven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need it. You work out like lifting?
I haven't for a while. I need
Yeah.
to get back into that. Like I would, do kettlebells and that sort of thing.
You're in good shape.
Yeah, you
We're the
really
same
do.
age, by the way. I'm gonna be 48.
I was going to say you're
I'll be
my
48
age.
on Friday.
So
Congratulations.
Liberty on Periscope says, "Does Oligny walk to clean the bong?" That's good job,
You're
Liberty.
getting yourself a rep, I think.
So getting up late and texting Oligny gets us a shout out now. So the fans know that's what they're saying. They're going to start getting
Got
up
it.
late and texting me.
How do you say your last name?
Oligny.
Oligny. I never figured that out. No, okay, got
I
it.
think walking definitely it helps digestion
good for the
of
brain.
food. It helps with your mind. It's just
Yeah,
a
like
good
what you
thing
said,
to do.
Eric.
You play softball?
Meditative.
I used to.
Yeah.
See, I need to get back into that kind of thing.
I play sometimes. My knee's been messed up, but I like to play basketball or racquetball. Sometimes I play racquetball.
I'll tell you what, like I used to play
got the height
softball
for
more.
basketball.
I used to do a lot of things more. But it's like social media. I feel like that's like a 2-hour commitment at least a day. That's 2 hours
Yeah.
that never used to be involved. I mean, I'm being conservative on that. It's probably 3 hours.
Yeah.
Where I never used to, because I used to play softball on Saturday. Don't do that anymore. I used to be more. That's another thing. I want to get back into the baseball, see if I can throw a little bit, get that going. So,
For the love of it.
I think today was pretty good.
Do you think we can play the baseball card game?
Well, what's the baseball card game?
Okay, well, let's
very
see.
fun
These are
game.
from 1988.
Trivia, baseball trivia.
Well, you count me out of this one.
So you don't know baseball, just
No.
never. You were more martial arts.
I had a bad experience with it. My first introduction to baseball was kind of scared me away from it. It was the 70s, and I had back then the coaches showed up to practice with a 6-pack of beer under their arm, and
Brody was on the mound.
Brody was on the mat. No, and I just wasn't good at it. It was my first time ever doing it, and I wasn't hitting the ball in practice or something. And the coach threw a baseball bat at me.
That would make you want to
Oh,
play.
yeah.
And
Wow.
that was it for me. But credit to my father, I didn't want to do it anymore. But he said, "You don't have to do it next season, but you are finishing. You're finishing this season. You're not going to quit in the middle." And I was like, "All right."
I quit when I was 14.
Kind of how I approached everything.
Because the Cuban kids in Tampa were pitching like 86 already at like 14, and I was like, I saw the ball coming in at like 80. I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I got knocked out by
I'll
a
play
pitch when I was,
basketball.
like 8 years old. I got knocked out by a
It
pitch.
hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like pitching. I wasn't like a great hitter. I was a good pitcher. Like I could, I'm not saying I was afraid of the baseball, but like hitting, I like
thing is-
pitching
Did
That's
you
a
ever
weapon.
brush up batters, just like
Yeah.
scuff them up?
a little bit.
Ugh, I tried throwing the ball with Brent Moore one time. It just scared me because he played, and I didn't really play, and so he knows how to throw it. And for me, I'm like, you're throwing a rock
And it hurts.
hard at
Yeah.
me. I don't want to play it.
Okay, I got one. I got a card right now in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 1988 card.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 87 season, 1988 card.
What's the game? Am I supposed to guess who it is?
Yeah.
80s?
And I think you
L.A.?
he's LA based.
Garvey?
There's a G involved.
Wow.
Wait, is there a question?
Who is it? Who's on the card?
I'm holding a card right now.
Oh, you just grab a card and you. We try
Well, I
to guess.
picked it out. I
the
picked
person.
it out. I'm holding the card right now. You know baseball a little bit.
A little bit, but
You're-
88.
You guys
I
know
was
this.
2.
You
He's
know
LA
his
based?
name. You know his name.
Okay.
He has LA connections, but you probably not know this.
88.
88. It's not.
And this was like pretty much towards the end
Mickey
of his
Mantle.
prime. Towards the end of his prime. Not Mickey Mantle.
I feel like I know who it is, but the name is like on the tip of my tongue, and I
It
can't.
begins with the first name with a G or last name.
There's a G involved. Reggie
There's
Jackson.
a G. First name G.
Start the first letter of the first name.
Yeah.
Dang it.
And this guy has South Bay connections. That's why I picked it. That's why I saw it. I said, you know what? Let's throw it out there. South Bay connections. G is part of the first name. Mary's in the South Bay. This
Wait.
guy,
Part of the first name, or is it the first letter of the first?
the first letter of the first name is G.
name? I don't know. You lost me.
Eric,
Gary Gaetti.
not Gary Gaetti.
Is it Gary?
It's not Gary.
Good question.
Who was our president a couple years ago?
George.
There you go.
George.
Do you know who it is? Yeah, I have no idea.
88.
George Brett.
Ladies and gentlemen, George Brett. That's who it is.
Wow.
I mean, we pretty much gave it away. Now,
Yeah, once you said George, I
George
forgot.
Brett went to El Segundo High School.
Oh, he was a Kansas City
And he
Royal.
had his 3,000th hit.
Was a home run, wasn't it?
His
No.
ties were South Bay. He was from South Bay.
Yep. And his brother played Major League Baseball also, Ken Brett. George Brett went to El Segundo High School.
I love how much you know about.
And he had
this
his
stuff.
3,000th hit against the Angels
Man,
at Anaheim Stadium.
can we do another one?
Okay. I got one right here.
Okay, it's in your hand now.
It's in my hand.
Do we have a year?
Same year. 87 year, 88 card. This guy was pretty big in 88. Jason would know his name
If you told me,
if I said his name.
what does it start with?
He's Dominican. It starts with he's Dominican.
I don't know.
88.
Dominican. Those guys can play baseball, huh? I had
Sammy Sosa?
I'm
That's a great guess. Not Sammy Sosa. Eric,
Is he a pitcher?
he's not a pitcher.
Oh.
See, Eric's kind of teaching us how to play the game. You can like get around it. No, he's not a pitcher. Would you like to guess?
Dominican? I can't think of anybody right now. Oh God, Carlos Delgado. He wasn't 87, 88.
No.
Don't think he's Dominican either.
I have no idea.
This guy, let me tell you what. This guy was a co-MVP of the 1981 World Series. Wow. Dominican.
81?
Who was in the 81 World Series?
I would have no idea. That's not. I don't.
Yankees,
follow
Dodgers.
Oh, shit.
Elaine, do you know?
You'll know it when I say it. Mary? Looks like we've hit a wall on
What is
this.
it? What
Can
is
we
it?
now? Can we
First name?
get first initial?
P.
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 Pedro.
Ooh.
Pedro Alvarez. Pedro.
Yes, it's a Pedro.
Pedro Baez.
Nope.
I don't know.
I'll just tell you. You want me to tell you who?
Yeah.
Just because again, the
That's a hard one.
So when I hear
The
this, I'm gonna
baseball
know
card game is hard to play with a lot of people who don't know. That's why I don't always play it.
Pedro
Yeah.
Lima.
It's Pedro Guerrero.
Guerrero.
Right there.
Wow.
Dodger, right there. 1981.
Okay.
I
You
did
know.
know him. I just couldn't rattle it in the.
I mean,
I was
ba-
gonna say Garcia or one of the other.
I mean, the baseball card game, it's a hard one to play, and Eric
Yeah.
likes to push, and I go, Eric, if the guys don't know baseball.
But I think the 88 cards are harder because you're pushing it further.
It would be
back.
easier for
it's
me
right,
because of my age.
Yeah, it's right in our wheelhouse.
But
it's just that
like
I was
anything.
talking
me,
about
it's
for
a
me and
little-
Vinny.
Jason is
Young
not.
guy.
He's not a baseball guy. Vinny's new kind of at baseball. You know your certain players. It's like the baseball card game. It's great, but it has to be in a certain environment. Just like sound effects theater. And look who just called me. Alan Yeager texted me right now. Alan Yeager is known as one of the top 3, maybe top 2 gurus for baseball. If you're a pitcher, you work with this guy. This guy teaches you how to breathe, visualize, and train your arm to throw.
Wow.
All the great players go through this guy, and they for off-season training. And he teaches breathing, he teaches meditation, and he teaches long toss.
There he
2
is.
messages.
You should get him to teach us how to pitch to Netflix. Heyo.
No, but here's the thing about baseball. This is what I teach about baseball players. You don't throw to get loose. You get loose to throw. See, when I played baseball at Arizona State, you couldn't touch a baseball until you ran 3 laps. You don't just pick up a baseball and start throwing. You run, you stretch.
Makes sense.
You do your tubing, then you pick up a baseball.
Get your body ready.
Then you throw, and then you throw, and you extend, and throw as far as you can on certain days, not every day. And you throw as far as you can, and you throw the ball high on an arc. Some people don't agree with that. I do. You throw it on the arc as far as you can, and then you slowly bring it back in. So then when you're at 60 feet, you're thinking, I'm throwing the ball 375 feet, but you're really throwing it 60 feet. And that's why these guys are throwing 100 miles an hour. You see these baseball players, they all throw 100 now. It's because this kind of thinking about the long toss. When they try to keep you, it's like comedy. It's like they try and keep you in a little box. You want to get out there and like go for it, but they know you got to throw it 120 feet. You get 50 throws and you throw it 120 feet. It's like, I'm just getting loose at 50 throws at 120 feet. Well, that's what we want, and that's how guys are always hurting their arms. Now, these guys, you see them, they're throwing like 101, 102. They come from this program, and I was an early on believer in that. Alan Yeager, J-Bands, good guy. That's another thing. Like, I like baseball. I wouldn't mind eventually maybe moving into baseball. Like, you know, Major League Baseball teams, they need morale. They need positive energy coaches. They have mental skills, but being a comedian around a baseball team is good. The Dodgers would always have Don Rickles. They'd have Frank Sinatra. The Yankees would have Billy Crystal. You know, I get to hang out with the Cubs, so that's another thing I wouldn't mind doing.
Do it.
So,
Did you know there's a documentary on Netflix about the fastball and what you're talking about, 102 miles an hour? If they can get pitchers to pitch even 1 mile per hour faster, it will make it to where it's impossible to hit the baseball.
they'll figure it out.
That was the hand-eye coordination. It's faster than
Players, these baseball guys,
It was a sports science too on 30 for 30.
no, they can hit the fastball.
Or one of those.
But it's when you start throwing a curveball or you're throwing the fastball when they expect a curveball, that's where baseball is math. You look at their stats. But it's math.
Mm-hmm.
And you see how, this guy, when the count is 0-0, he'll never swing at a curveball. They have stats on everything.
That's why Greg Maddux was the best pitcher of all time, one of them.
He knew how to pitch.
Yeah, he read everybody.
Yeah, these guys, you can throw 102 miles an hour. It doesn't mean you're going to win. It doesn't mean you're going to get the guys out. That's where, and my friend is a coach with the Cubs, he does all of the scouting. He breaks down every hitter. So it's about sequencing. So you don't have to throw 100. You can throw 90 and just flip a curveball up there. Because these hitters today, you look at them, they're just trying to hit home runs. They try to get that launch angle, get it up in the air, and hit it out.
It sounds like a bunch of new comedians.
There you go.
Just trying to hit the home run right away. Yeah.
Hit the home run right away, and then you got the pitcher up there who's going, I'm just going to try and strike you out. So you get a guy who's trying to strike him out, and then a guy who's trying to hit a home run. So, yeah, he'll strike him out a lot, but he's going to give up a lot of home runs. But if you're a pitcher and you could read their body language, but not only that, know, because you did the work, you did the math, you go, if I throw a 2-1 curveball in a certain spot, if I can execute that, he only hits like 125. Chances are he's going to ground out. That's how baseball is. It's like you have to communicate it to the player and then have them execute it. And I've seen that. That's the thing that I bring to to comedy and to audience warm-up. It's doing that, and it's a belief. And again, my friend Borzello, who we grew up with, Adam Egett, we taught how to play baseball. I've known Adam Egett since he was a kid. Adam Egett went to Joe Torre baseball camp. Adam Egett, who's successful in comedy these days. He's on the freaking Norm Macdonald thing, and he helps book the Comedy Store. He grew up with Brazello's family. My friend, who's now a coach of the Cubs, has 5 World Series rings. He's been to the World Series 7 times. 4 with the Yankees, now 1 with the Cubs, and he was with the Dodgers. So that's what I try to share to all these people. I'm around these winning baseball teams. And a lot of it is energy, belief, and also comedy. You got to have some humor.
So since we're talking about baseball,
Yeah.
we would be in extra innings right now.
Okay, well, we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up. All right, listen.
We'd be in the bottom of the 10th.
I think it was. I feel, and I think others would feel, this is an interesting podcast. I did not know your backstory on how you got into it necessarily. Jason, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
Vinny, we learned about. We had the Youngstown story. That's a great story. You and Tony Hinchcliffe. We learned about the heroes. We learned about booking a show. We'll get you back on too. You were a late addition. We just threw you in here. I appreciate that. Eric, nice job. What are they saying in the Periscope?
Okay, so Shake Your Junk says, this has been my favorite Scope podcast. Please upload it to YouTube.
Nice.
Zonda Girl. Mary! I think I read that right. Lost in Transit. Hi, Mary. So Mary seems to be a popular thing on here. Sorry, Steven. That must have been from a previous thing going on.
So Mary, you did your first podcast.
You're a hit.
Thanks for letting me pop in.
You got to speak in too, though.
Okay.
She did just
I'm learning.
fine. You did it.
And so you have your show Bones and Buddies. That's February 16th.
February 16th, Hermosa Beach.
February 16th, Hermosa Beach. Vinny, you have any shows coming up? Where can we find you?
Laugh Factory Saturday 9:30 and Improv Sunday 9:30.
He's got shows. Check it out. Vinny Fastline and Jason Collins.
Jason Collins. I'm at the Sycamore Tavern tomorrow night.
Yeah,
we'll
I'll
be
be
at the
there.
Ha Ha Cafe Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday I'll be in the original room at the Comedy Store.
And I'll tell you what, we could have talked some more. Believe me, we could keep going. But I think we covered some good topics. It was interesting to hear 3 comedians talking. Shooting the breeze. Because it's always about the top comedians. They can get up there and talk. But when you're hearing the guys like us, we're in the trenches.
Right.
We're looking at it a little different way. Have some different insight.
Yeah.
I feel like, of course, if you had Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock and these big names talking, okay, that's one thing. But you're getting the guys who are like, we have the pulse for what's happening. Because people, we could slide under the radar.
Right.
We're able to get in there because we're not Chris. One day maybe, but
One day we will.
One day for sure.
yeah,
That's what I'm talking about.
no,
man.
but we're also ourselves. We're also ourselves and unique, and everyone's got a voice. And thank you very much. Go ahead, Eric. Where can we find you?
Yeah, make sure you go to the Festival of Friendship, Stephen Brody Stevens on YouTube. Go check out Valley Vibes on YouTube. There's going to be a new Valley Vibes coming soon, I'm sure. Also, go to iTunes, subscribe to that, and you can catch me at Levity Live in Oxnard tomorrow night, opening for Russell Peters.
Nice.
Oh, you are? I think my friend Yoshi is going to be out there.
Nice.
Eric, why don't you start putting that out in the universe? Let's get another Valley Vibes.
I've already talked to Brian.
Okay, so set that up.
Yeah.
Let's get that going, and you can if we get that happening, you can expect at least a $5 Venmo donation.
Man, that Venmo's blowing up.
Emma, thank you. All Things Comedy, thank you. And to all my guests, all of our listeners, thank you very much. My name is Stephen Brody Stevens. You can find me at Brody is me friend on Twitter. I'm around town too. I'll be at the Improv. I'll be at the Comedy Store. I'll be in Salt Lake City with David Spade later this month. And next month, I'll be in Seattle and then also Arizona. Got a couple gigs coming up. Thank you very much. Enjoy it. Yes.